Strong Guns finally. Even Warren gives him no space. Oh, he's sideways. He's very, very sideways.
A very good evening to you, wherever you're watching around the country, or indeed the world. And thank you for bearing with us. We're a little bit late getting started tonight because of a few technical dramas. We've recently moved studios, so there's quite a few little things to iron out, kinks to iron out. My name's Stairs. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome Manbird to the commentary box once again.
Thank you very much. Absolutely. Lots and lots of screens, lots of monitors, lots of keyboards, lots of mice, lots of audio cables, and lots of anticipation here for the Hidden Valley Raceway, the Triple Crown up at Darwin. We were going to be going to Winton, but you know the admins dislike at Winton so much they caused a coronavirus outbreak in Victoria to get the real race cancelled, so they could have an excuse to cancel the sim race, which has now been pushed back to August.
Yes, so I'm still looking forward to Winton with
absolutely
with a huge amount of anticipation. So hoping that happens quite soon indeed. Let's quickly go through the points because qualifying is not too far away from beginning. And well, leading the way it is Curt Stenberg by only a small margin, but Colin Warwick on the sick list at the moment, not here tonight. So unfortunate. He said we might get the pleasure of his company in the combox for an interview at some stage tonight, so we'll wait and see. But unfortunately no points for Colin tonight as he won't be racing. Zach Baker in third, then we've got Sean Allen, Brody Steen, Benjamin Dahlia, Luke Rosella, RSM Latino, Brap, and then Lachlan Burke rounding out the top 10 there, Madbird.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the race classification for the teams, rather, Race on Oz holding a lead of about 200 points over ZB Racing. Trans-Tasman Racing in third with Black Shores Racing in fourth. Second Race on Oz team of Alex Cattle and someone else in fifth. Synergy Sim Racing 1 in sixth. All Australian Races seventh. Black Shores RSM Racing. Missed Apex Simbort and 1 rounding out the top 10 for the team Stairs.
Well, we got through that in record time, and you have not missed a second of the action. So here is the beginning of the qualifying session. We've got 2 races tonight, and a shootout for, I believe it's the second race, but I'm just still checking my facts on that one. I'll just double check that for you, ladies and gentlemen.
Yep. So we're looking at Lewis Wedding, who is not a regular runner in ASC, but very nice to see him coming along tonight. He's of course someone that we're very familiar with from his commentary exploits and racing over at Automobilista Australia.
We've also got Scott Morrell, who he races a fair bit over in the what used to be Automobilista Australia. They're now ASR.
Of course they are.
And also Apex Rear Wing.
Yeah,
So,
I was watching him during the practice session as you were frantically plugging and unplugging things in. He seemed to be having a little bit of trouble coming to grips with the circuit, so it'll be interesting to see how he does in qualifying and of course the races. Michael Zalavari just asked for pics of the new studio. We might whack one up on the Facebook page.
This is actually a bit of a temporary studio. We're going to move studios again come October or so. So yeah, it's funny, you don't move for 4 years and then all of a sudden you move twice in 1 year. The way that things happen.
Homes are strange.
They... Homes are strange. Vital though, you've got to live in them.
fairly vital. You generally need them. It's not Automobilista Australia anymore, says Michael Zalavari. Yes,
I'm aware of that. It's now Australasian Sim Racing because they're
yes.
Sort of making forays into other sim racing, and I think I saw them racing in the actual F1 game the other night.
Man, that's a blast from the past.
Yes, but the current one, the 2020 version of it.
Yeah.
And they've also got quite a lot of people across the ditch racing from them in New Zealand, so they thought the need to expand it from Australian to Australasian. No times on the board just yet.
It's Scott Morrell's home track, we're reliably informed by Mr. Walshy73 in the chat, so...
Yes, he is from Darwin.
Of course. I did know that, somewhere in the back of my mind.
And something you might have also known in the back of your mind is that Curt Stenberg built this track. It's something that we bring up every single year. Someone in the fence there, out of turn.
Yeah, just rejoining. I'm not sure who that was.
Aren't you?
Oh, we're off to a cracking start tonight, Stairs. Incredible work from the both of us.
We are still ironing out a couple of kinks here and there, but
it's been 6 weeks, so we're a tiny bit rusty.
Oh,
but we'll, you know, we're good enough.
Speaking of rusty, Scott Morrell, who we were just talking about, has made a bit of an error there. So see if we can find out what happened to him there. And my refund button is not working.
Oh my goodness! As I said, in practice, he seemed to be struggling a little bit to come to grips with the track, and it seemed as if he came to a complete lack of grip there, which resulted in him being in the wall. Luke Rosella, the early leader here in qualifying, with just under 7 minutes left to run. He is first over Sean Allen, Benjamin Dahlia in third, and Zach Baker in fourth. Curt Stenberg only good enough for fifth at the moment, at, of course, the track that he did build.
Championship leader, and he's had a really dominant year.
He has
this year.
As soon as he got rid of that number one, he's been putting in some incredible results. Of course, it does help that the Warrens, the double-headed Cobra of the Warrens, hasn't been in attendance, but nevertheless, Curt seems to have felt a lot more comfortable this season around. Australasian sim racing is being taken over by Kiwis, we're informed. And Charcoal, which is, of course, co-admin Colin Warwick in the chat, just saying, I will be on a little later to update on myself, he says. And Michael Zalavari just enjoying sitting back and not having to run a broadcast himself tonight.
Good to have you along, Michael Zalavari. Good to have you along, Mr. Walshy73, and good to have you along, Charcoal. 3 very good friends of ours. And we hope there's many more of you enjoying the broadcast. So we've neglected to mention a few of the times that have come up on this on the timing screens, and it is Curt Stenberg following the form book for this year, going straight to the top there. Only 2/10 clear of Luke Rosella, so Luke Rosella is probably the best bet to challenge Curt Stenberg tonight.
It is a very, very short lap, so it is difficult to find time around here.
Here is Curt Stenberg's retro livery for this round, actually, for TTR. Different colour scheme for this particular round. Normally runs the black, white and orange, but today running the blue and black, and indeed back into the pits. So here is Zach Baker, who's just slotted in between Luke Rosella and Curt Stenberg, up into second place. So good job there from Zach Baker to slot himself up there.
Yeah, pretty tight there between himself and Luke Rosella. Sean Allen just jumping up into 4th place, just behind Luke Rosella. So you can see first to 10th are covered by a second.
Close, yeah.
Sean
Allen is looking to turn his season around. If you remember last year, he had an absolutely stellar season. He was second only to Dane Warren, who was our runaway championship leader last year. No Dane Warren this year, so you would have thought it's an open goal for Sean Allen. But he's sort of languishing down there a little bit. Hasn't quite had the pace that he had last year, or perhaps everyone else has stepped it up a notch. Yeah,
Curt Stenberg resurgent compared to last season, must be said. And Sean Allen probably, I'd expect a little bit disappointed with his performance as we see Scott Morrell once again returning to the pits. So the hometown advantage not being particularly useful to him at this stage.
I think I'm discovering that the tilde key on this keyboard doesn't work
Ah, very good.
because it is my replay key, but it is not working. So, but nonetheless, let's see if we can find something else for you to look at, dear viewers. I was going to say listeners, but you're of course watching as well. Luke Rosella for Synergy Sim Racing. Here he is. So it's going to be a little bit tricky to tell him and Curt Stenberg apart tonight because they are running
Very
kind of similar colour scheme.
Sort of bluey, tealy, and grey.
I suppose it's not that different. Here is Curt again to remind you. There's a bit more black on Kurt's livery for this week. Speaking of liveries, it's a bit of a shame for Colin that he couldn't race tonight because we understand he had a nice Indigenous skin lined up with the real-life supercars doing the Indigenous round in Darwin, and he was going to celebrate that with his Indigenous heritage with a skin, I believe. So I believe his father got to run it last night in the Super 2.
Oh, so good that it got some. He got some running.
Actually, let's see if he's got it. If his father, Steve Warwick,
Of course,
He's
Steve
actually
Warwick,
racing.
father of the fixed-footed Colin Warwick.
I can't tell from that angle. We'll have to see it closer up. Looks like they're regular Black Shores livery though. So we'll have to get the inside goss on that from Cole if he comes in for a chat at some point.
So just a little bit over 2 minutes left in this qualifying session. Curt Stenberg still at the top, but Luke Rosella has closed that advantage down to under a tenth of a second. Zach Baker still in third. Luke Rosella actually goes first fastest.
Wow.
First fastest? He goes fastest.
Fastest. And
160.
straight back to the pits. So he's probably going to have one more opportunity to have a lap. Curt Stenberg currently drafting his reply to Luke Rosella on the subject of whether pole position should be his or not. And it's mighty close. Look at those splits.
So he's up on his personal best is Curt Stenberg, but just a little bit down on Luke Rosella's time. If he gets a decent exit from this last corner, very important exit, that one, because this long straight is almost the length of the rest of the track. And he crosses the line, still remains in second, but only by the skin of Luke Rosella's teeth, 5/1000ths of a second between first and second at the moment. And is Luke Rosella? He is back out onto the track by the looks of it. So he will be trying to set in one last banker lap.
It works. I just have to press the replay button very hard.
Ah, very good. As Scott Morrell gets out of the way of Curt Stenberg, who is now up by 7/1000ths of a second.
Ooh, do you reckon he got held up though by Scott as he came through there?
Maybe like he got out of the way, but
a bit of a hesitation on the throttle though. You never quite know if the traffic's going to move out of the way.
Always a little bit tentative.
Tentative is correct. So Luke Rosella is on his outlap at the moment. He's got a hustle if he wants to make it round for another lap though.
Kurt's still up by 1/100th of a second as he comes through the last corner and onto that start-finish straight.
He might, and he's going to get another go as well. If he's fueled for it and his tyres hang on, he'll get another chance because there's 15 seconds left.
Oh.
Luke Rosella has managed to cross the line with one more lap left, but he's going to have to improve because Luke Rosella has beaten him by a tenth with that lap.
Curt Stenberg even has beaten him by a tenth.
You're right, beg your pardon. And Luke Rosella's gone back to the pits.
Oh, so there will be no reply from Luke Rosella as Curt Stenberg also pulls over. So it looks like with his main rival in the pits, Curt Stenberg decided not to go on
This
for
was
another
Luke's
hot lap.
last lap, and he just got it completely out of shape coming into the braking zone for turn one.
Is a very heavy braking zone into turn one.
So that's it. So Curt Stenberg's now on a bit of a glory lap. He can finish this lap. We didn't see what his split was through the first sector, but I don't think it matters really.
He pulled off to the side of the road, so it wouldn't have been particularly quick. I think he saw. Yeah, there he goes. Yeah, he's definitely taking that one easy. He's 11 seconds down on his PB.
Anyone else on a lap that we can see? Zach Baker has had a really good qualifying actually, in third place. Well, we normally see the ZB guys up there or thereabouts, but I think the competition has just gone up a little bit this year, and I think he's happy with where he is currently. Benjamin Daly, a good quality qualifying from him in fourth place.
A good quality qualifying? As
for
he
the Race on Oz stable.
peels
He's
into
actually the leading Race on Oz car coming from the Satellite stable.
Yeah, Sean Allen only good enough for 5th. So he wouldn't be particularly happy with that. Where have we got the rest of them? We don't actually have... oh no, we do have Brody Steen. Pardon my buscock.
He's in 7th place. So, in fact, he's been beaten by the other Satellite stablemate, Alex Cattle, in 6th place. So it's in 5th, 6th and 7th, we've got Sean Allen, Alex Cattle and Brody Steen. And Benjamin Dahlia in 4th. So all of them out of the same stable in 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th places. So that's quite...
Be a tasty little intra-team battle.
I'd say so. Very much looking forward to that.
Very much so. Alex Cattle was showing some decent pace in practice, I noticed as well. He was top of the timing sheets for a while, so must be a track that he's particularly au fait with.
Au fait is right.
Au fait.
Quickly going to update you on the schedule for tonight. We have just had the first qualifying session for tonight, which is just a 10-minute standard qualifying session. We're leading on into a 19-lap race, and the fuel usage will be set at ×2, the tyres will be set at ×2, and there'll be a compulsory pit stop between laps 1 and 17. We'll then roll on into a second qualifying session, a 10-minute session, which will determine the order for a top 10 shootout ahead of a feature race of 38 laps and a compulsory pit stop between laps 1 and 34. One thing I'd like to ask Cole when he jumps in to have a chat with us is how they decide what these compulsory pit stop windows are, because they seem unusual. It's like you can pit at any time apart from the last 4 laps, essentially, is what that's saying to me.
It is, yeah, and well, for race 1 it's 19 laps, and it's between laps 1 and 17 that you're able to pit, so it's basically what you need is a compulsory pit stop, and then the window where you can't stop, which is the last 2 laps of the race, rather than having the window where you can stop, which is the first 17 laps of the race. It seems like an odd decision. It
seems odd, but you can't argue with what works, because we had probably the best round of racing that I can remember in Automobilista Supercars Championship history last round at the Bend. And following the trend of 2021, racetracks that you wouldn't expect to produce fantastic racing, producing fantastic racing. There was one race that was decided by less than the distance between the front wheel and the front bumper bar. And then there was another one that could have gone the other way when Curt Stenberg ran out of fuel coming to the line at the end of the second race. And if Colin Warwick had been able to react faster and sort of drive around him, that might have lost to know what you do.
No, well, no, I very nearly shared it as the city of Onkaparinga, which would have extended our reach considerably. But I feel like I would possibly be without a job, or at least I would very much be no longer on social media duties if I did that. So I'm glad I caught myself. And it would help if I could write, because I wrote wee and wee live. There we go. Very good.
So not too far away now from live pictures from the start of race 1.
That horse's thumbnail. Every single time I see it.
You might have to explain that one.
That is we did a special event over in Apex Rear Wing, the Clippity Clop 100. Was it 100?
I believe it was 100.
Yeah, the Clippity Clop 100.
It's about as far as we could go in those on the horse mod cars.
Using the horse mod for Automobilista. And the thumbnail for the series is Daryl Braithwaite.
Riding on the horses.
Riding on the horses, yeah. Way up in the sky. Darling.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Here is live pictures from Hidden Valley Raceway. Apologies, we didn't quite get the graphic up and running in time for the corner names.
I think it's a pretty simple track.
It's not too... I mean, it's one of those racetracks that does its best to name the races, name corners that probably aren't deserving of having a number, I should say.
We've discussed this.
Yes, Madbird, do you want to just run through the order for me?
Absolutely can. So first position, in pole position that is, Curt Stenberg, defending his championship lead. Luke Rosella, who was very, very tight to him in qualifying, has managed to slot himself into second. Can he get a good start off the line? In third place, we have got Zach Baker with a very good qualifying session for ZB Racing. In fourth, we have got the first of the Race on Oz drivers, Benjamin Dahlia, and from the secondary team, indeed. In fifth place, we have got Sean Allen, who is the first of the main team Race on Oz drivers. Behind him, we have got the second of the sister team cars, Alex Cattle, in sixth place, and seventh place we've got Brody Steen. So a Race on Oz, fourth, fifth, sixth, and seventh. In eighth place, we have got RSM Latino for Warwick Racing Team. In ninth, we have got Lewis Wedding for Loose Sims. Well, not for Loose Sims Sports, for Ultimate 9 Racing. Of course, a fellow commentator and racer over at Automobilista Australasian Sim Racing.
We have a bit of a soft spot for him, don't we?
We do. We love Lewis. And in 10th place, we have got David Nedich for Zach Baker Racing, probably a little bit further down than he'd like. In 11th, we have got Steve Warwick, father of Colin Warwick, the absent Colin Warwick. In 12th place, we have got Cameron Parrott, not the bird. And in 13th place, Scott Morrell, the home boy from Darwin. And in 14th place, Kai Jones in the 6th privateer car.
Very well done, Madbird. We're about to get started for the first of two races tonight. Looks like we just had Zach Baker reversing a little bit. Maybe he'd gone a bit too far over his grid box.
Don't want to do that?
No, you do not. And it's reset. It looks like it's reset Luke Rosella. I'm waiting for those lights. There they are. After 6 weeks, we are racing once again. What a great start there from Sean Allen. We didn't quite see the end of that shot, but he got a much better jump than his less experienced stablemate. Almost 3 wide, but look how clear Curt Stenberg is. Zach Baker going to the inside to defend. But that is a huge old gap that our leader Curt Stenberg has over Luke Rosella. Yeah, it looked like an awful start for Luke. He's managed to hold on to second, but Zach Baker all over the back of him. It looked like he just didn't go anywhere, and that helped the Race on Oz guys get a decent start. I think that, what's his name? Benjamin Dahlia was stuck behind Luke Rosella, being directly behind him in the starting slots, and that sort of backed him up a little bit, which allowed Sean Allen to get the jump into fourth. This is ominous signs. I know it's only halfway through the first lap, or 3/4 of the way through the first lap, but Curt Stenberg already has an advantage of 1.3 seconds, and we say this every year. He built this track, so he knows every pixel of this racetrack.
Look like a little bit of Morse code on the rear bumper of Luke Rosella from Zach Baker as they chase one another down this long start-finish straight into turn 1. Hans Brunswick in the chat.
I was about to notice that.
The field has a Parrot and a Rosella.
That is a top find.
Fantastic.
Very good spot as Luke Rosella looks like he goes a little bit wide as he hears us speak. There's a little bit of lag going on as well by the looks of it. Hoping that's not on our end. Hoping it's not server end either.
Hopefully it irons itself out.
Be one of
either way. Whoa, a little bit of a deep corner entry there for Luke Rosella. Zach Baker is putting a lot of pressure on. He's going to go down the inside at the hairpin. Looks like he's forced Luke Rosella a little bit wide and has gotten up the inside, but Luke Rosella will have the inside for the next corner.
Ooh,
it's one of these switchback sections of the racetrack that they're able to go back and forth, and it looks as if it has worked back out with Luke Rosella in second place still.
2x2, the two Race on Oz cars and their satellite stablemates as well, with Sean Allen ahead of Benjamin Dahlia and Brody Steen only just holding off Alex Cattle. But that's a position that Brody Steen has made up since the start of the race, but it does look like Alex Cattle has the pace to stick with him and even put him under some pressure as Benjamin Dahlia pulls to the inside there.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to get the job done. It's going to be a very late braking move. He's got it. He's gotten through. Can Sean Allen swap up the inside? Looks like he can, and maintains that 4th position. So some decent racing there between the teammates.
In the back of that shot, Alex Cattle swiped across the front of Brody Steen. They're going side by side as well. And for a moment there, Alex Cattle was ahead of Brody Steen, but it looks like Brody's managed to wrestle that position back from him.
Yeah, so the two more experienced... Oh, a little bit of a tap there from Alex Cattle. Brody Steen will not be particularly happy about that. Looks like the more experienced team of Brody Steen and Sean Allen have got it over their teammates in the short term at least, both of them making up that position off the start, while at the front, Curt Stenberg still with a 1.1 second advantage.
He crosses the line to finish the 3rd lap of this race. They go by quickly, only just a tick over 1 minute. Well, 5 ticks over 1 minute if you're being pedantic, as Luke Rosella sets the fastest lap of the race. So although the gap was about 1.3 seconds before the end of the first lap, that's been pegged very much so by Luke Rosella, as they all go wide there coming out of turn 1. That may well have been some server lag though, because I don't know that they'd all do that.
It is quite easy to follow someone else off, but
That's true.
That all looked very precise.
A bit jank.
Yeah, a little bit jank.
So yeah, that's interesting there. 105.9, that was the fastest lap of the race set by Luke Rosella on the previous occasion, and that was 0.4 of a second faster than the last lap from Curt Stenberg. And the last lap from Curt Stenberg was within a 10th or so of his best, 10.5.
And gap's down around the 8/10 of a second mark now. So he's definitely, Luke Rosella definitely isn't falling away. It's actually 7/10 or thereabouts as they come onto the start-finish straight, and that's going to shrink in the slipstream, you would expect, down to turn 1.
He's dragging Zach Baker with him. Look, Zach Baker's just set the fastest lap, so maybe a little bit of a toe down the straight, but Zach Baker has definitely got the same sort of pace that Luke Rosella is running at the moment.
Well, this is looking good then. You said ominous at the end of the first lap when Curt Stenberg had a bit of an advantage.
What's the opposite of ominous?
What, comfortable? No.
Well, I don't think Curt Stenberg's comfortable right now.
No, but like ominous is scary. What's the opposite of scary? This is looking cuddly.
Well, it's definitely looking promising.
So there we go.
From Luke Rosella and Zach Baker's point of view.
And from our point of view, because we want to see some decent, we want to see some side-by-side racing at the front. And gap now under 6/10 of a second, or hovering thereabouts as they go through the compressions of the corners.
I think Kurt's just managing in some way or another. I don't know why you would manage and bring the gap down from 1.3 to 0.4 of a second, but
yeah, that's come down.
I don't know.
It's been halved since this time last lap.
Zach Baker set the fastest first sector on that previous lap.
No fastest lap this time around.
No, but they're all compressing. They're much closer. Well, Luke Rosella goes a little bit deep there, but he might get that back on corner exit. And I reckon Curt Stenberg's struggling with the rear of his car just a little bit. You reckon you saw a bit of a squirm there?
A little bit of a squirm as he got the throttle down, and that is not what you want around here. It's like we said, it's a very short track, so any lost time it means a lot more than it would around a longer track, because you got so much less time to make up for it, as they are all over the back of each other now. Line astern, first through third.
They were about 3/4 of a second slower on that lap than they were on the lap before, and they can't really go any faster because Kurt's now in front of them, and he's going about 2 or 3/10 of a second slower than they were before they caught up to him.
I reckon Luke Rosella is going to have a go at the end of this straight. Oh, a little bit of a wiggle.
I was just looking at we've got two screens, and on the other screen they had all gone off the track.
We definitely got a little bit of server lag, so you're going to have to bear with us, sorry viewers. But you can sort of tell when it's a real off, because there's a certain level of sort of jankiness to their movements when it's lag, and a certain level of not jankiness when it isn't. to mangle a sentence, but they are incredibly close together. First through third. That definitely looked like an actual off-track excursion for Luke Rosella, but it hasn't cost him. In fact, he is right on the rear bumper of Curt Stenberg going through the hairpin.
You're going to have another go there. The concertina through here just stretches them out a little bit, but Luke Rosella is definitely pushing hard. So we're approaching the halfway mark of this race. We've got another lap or two laps, before we pass that milestone. But they go quickly. 19 lap race, it's a short one.
Keep thinking they're going to clip that wall on the exit of the last corner, because they get very, very close to it. And we do still have pit stops as Luke Rosella pulls out but is not able to make a move. Just reminds Curt Stenberg that he's there. Make sure he can see him in his mirrors before turn 1. See if he can put the race leader off. Oh, a little bit of a switch for Luke Rosella. Had to have it grapple with the wheel a bit, but he's managed to hold control of it.
I come bringing gift for housewarming and find you grappling with the wheel.
What?
Simpsons.
Is it?
Yeah, when George Bush moves in next door and Mikhail Gorbachev comes to visit him and finds him fighting Homer Simpson out of the sewer drain. I come bringing gift for housewarming, find you grappling with local off. I don't know why I remember that, but when your usage of the word grappling
with the wheel
reminded me.
Oh.
Early pit stop.
Luke Rosella.
I say early, only maybe a lap or two before halfway, but Luke Rosella indeed
Going for the undercut.
Going for the undercut, and that is going to be very, very interesting to see if he can pull that off.
Well, it looked like he had a fair bit more pace than Curt Stenberg, and he wasn't getting anywhere sitting behind Curt Stenberg, so at the very least, he's going to get some clear air and can maybe punch in some hot laps, see if he can undercut Curt Stenberg through the pit stops.
He's on the move, and we've also had another pit call. I'm just trying to see who that is. I reckon it's Lewis Wedding making a pit stop there. Our live timing isn't actually telling us who's in the pits at the moment.
Looks like a few people in the pits, so Luke Rosella, Lewis Wedding, Steve Warwick, and Cameron Parrott in the pits.
Mr. Walshy saying, in addition to Hans's comment about having a parrot and a Rosella, we've also got some galahs.
We've got some galahs. Oh, you silly galah.
Let's see if Curt pits this time. He went long in the bend both times, I believe.
Didn't pay off for him particularly well the first time around.
Zach Baker's in. And Zach Baker, interestingly, after Luke Rosella pit, wasn't able to stay as close to Curt as he was when he had Luke Rosella in between.
So Luke Rosella may be towing Zach Baker along a bit.
Yeah, Curt was about a tenth of a second, 2/10 faster than Zach.
What sort of lap time has Luke Rosella set?
Someone's just gone off in the foreground there. I'm just trying to see who that is. One of the privateer
I think that might be
cars.
Kai Jones, possibly. Sitting in.
I think you're right.
Sixth, but yeah.
I'm just looking at the driver tracker on the live timing, and it's about 5 seconds behind what we're looking at. But you're about right, because we got past. Now we've also had in the pit we've seen Zach Baker. Benjamin Dahlia also came in though.
Very good.
So we go back to Luke Rosella. We'll see what has happened there, and he has come out in front of Zach Baker, and I think he's grown that gap quite significantly. That's about 1.8 seconds now, so Zach probably struggling a little bit with the tyres towards the back end of that stint. Also coming through the pits currently is Kai Jones.
So Luke Rosella about 0.3 of a second faster than Curt Stenberg through the first sector there. And we'll see what his second sector time is in just a moment.
So you reckon he's a chance of a undercut here?
I reckon he was within a couple of tenths of Curt Stenberg. So with Curt Stenberg not pitting, here we go. So we've got Luke Rosella through the second sector was a 22.4, and Curt Stenberg, we missed it. But
and the other interesting thing, if Curt does elect to take another lap, is he's probably going to encounter traffic on his next lap, because the cars in front of him are fighting side by side. So I'd be very surprised if we don't see Curt come in this lap.
Yeah, because he's going to
that's
come up across. He's going to tangle with them soon
Steve
enough.
Warwick and Scott Morrell, who he's about to lap. And if he doesn't pit this lap, he's probably going to catch them. So he does indeed pit. A man with much more sim racing experience than myself, taking my advice. So
I'm sure he appreciates it.
he comes to a stop. Luke Rosella, here he is.
Just finishing the second sector.
Yep. Coming up towards turn 9.
It is a long straight to be trundling along at pit lane speeds.
He's on the move. Curt Stenberg.
Luke Rosella still a corner away from this straight. Here he comes.
It's a long, long way. Kurt's still making his way at the pit lane speed limit, and he's only going to be able to release that about now. I reckon Luke's going to have this because he's going to have so much more pace almost before before Curt has rejoined the track.
I thought there was going to be an accident between Zach Baker and Curt Stenberg.
Well, there was still a possibility of that happening before you'd finished that sentence, but Curt was very, very lucky in that instance to hold on to second place. So the gap is 3.2 seconds. That is a mighty, mighty lead, and Curt Stenberg is definitely more worried about his rear vision mirror than the car up in front of him.
He is about 3.5 seconds the gap now between Curt Stenberg and Luke Rosella, and we have lost Sean Allen with the DNF.
Oh, that's a shame.
At some stage. We missed that while we were paying attention to the chaos of the pit stops, but Sean Allen's season not going swimmingly.
His dismal year continues to be dismal.
I was trying to be slightly less harsh, but dismal is also a word that would describe it.
Oh, I mean, I think that he would probably be the first to describe a DNF as dismal.
Well, absolutely not a great result, to say the least. Zach Baker right on the back of Curt Stenberg as they go down this start-finish straight. Luke Rosella there, look at the lead he's got. About 3.5 seconds between first and second.
Maintained. Kurt's got a fair bit of work to do if he wants to catch that up then. I think it might be a connection issue for Sean Allen. I just found a replay. And here it is. It was about 2 laps ago or so. And you look at the screen, he'll just go to the inside, and then there'll be this weird sort of either a game crash or a connection issue, and that was it for Sean Allen. So very, very disappointing news for fans of Sean Allen.
Sean Allen fans, of which there are, I'm sure, many.
You say that like there wouldn't be.
I said of which I'm sure there are many.
Yeah, but it didn't sound sincere. I apologise, Sean Allen, for my co-commentators.
Good friend. You can go plonk yourself.
Oh yeah?
Yep.
Plonk.
Plonk. I see you, champion. Making fun of my plonk.
Oh yeah? Good to have you around. The fastest lap from Curt Stenberg, that's what he needs to be doing.
Is to start reeling that in. It's about 2.9 seconds now, the gap, so he has closed it down just a little bit, but only 5 laps left in this race. That has gone very quick.
He needs to be taking those kinds of chunks out of Curt Stenberg's lead if he's going to have a chance, out of Luke Rosella's lead, I should say. I'm so used to saying Curt Stenberg in the lead this year, but Luke Rosella, it would not be his first win. He got that win in Bathurst when Luke Rosella, when Curt Stenberg had an issue coming through turn 2 on the final lap of that race. That was the opening round.
I didn't commentate that, did I?
Michael Zalavari came in for that one. But Curt Stenberg took, it was about 0.5 of a second on that lap, on that previous lap. So we're going to get another indication here.
That looked deep. As they, again, get so close to that wall. It's terrifying. Gap is another fastest lap for Curt Stenberg, so he's absolutely doing his best.
And you'd expect that. He does have the fresher tyres at the moment.
Gap is still 2.8-ish it was as they went into turn 1. Constantina messes with that a little bit, but
he didn't take as much out of Curt on the out of Luke on that lap than he did on the lap before. It was probably 3 or 4 tenths as opposed to 5 tenths. So Luke is managing, and he's doing exactly what he needs to do right now. But one mistake, and that's all it takes. So
yeah, he's just got to keep his head, and he's got time on his side. There's only about 4 minutes of racing left.
It's a good test for Very,
Yeah,
very good
absolutely.
chase.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure having Curt Stenberg in your rear vision mirror.
Well, the champion-elect, or I wouldn't want to say elect because we're still a long way from the end of this season. Quite a lot of racing yet to go, but he has definitely been the dominant form man to this point in the championship.
As indeed. 1.5 seconds the gap now. So it is coming down. But still, it looks much bigger than that when you look down that start-finish straight and you see how far behind Curt Stenberg is.
So that was a bigger one. 106.3 from Luke Rosella, 105.7 from Curt Stenberg. So that's the biggest margin in one lap that he's taken out of him since the pit stops.
Yeah, so Luke maybe just needs to calm himself down, just make sure he does smooth lap times. He's only got 3 laps left to go.
Question is, do these tyres fall off a cliff for Luke Rosella? Remember, he pitted early. He was in at the end of lap 8, whereas Curt went to lap 11. So that is a significant difference, 3 laps or so. So if Luke encounters any tyre troubles towards the end of this race, Curt Stenberg will be all over him like a very, very cheap ops shop suit.
A cheap ops shop. Ops shop?
Yeah.
Kai Jones.
Buggered that up, didn't I?
Kai Jones we've also lost with a DNF.
That's a shame.
That is a shame. Now under a second between first and second. With 2 laps left to run after this one. So 3 laps total.
Building up towards a grandstand finish here with Curt Stenberg under a second now to Luke Rosella. Luke Rosella is probably going to have to defend for a lap or 2 here. It's getting ever closer.
I thought he was going to be safe, to be honest. And then it's just Curt Stenberg has just been taking big chomping bites out of that lead.
It's disappeared, more or less. It's academic, really. Under half a second.
The gap is visual, as some would say, as they're just coming down to through the last sector of the racetrack to go onto the start-finish straight. And Curt Stenberg's going to have an almighty run with some slipstream for assistance down into turn 1.
He might have a go. He might have a go into 1 here. Well, he's maybe not quite close enough. I reckon he'll probably hold off until the last lap, make it a grandstand sort of last lap pass.
That'd be very Curt Stenberg.
He definitely wasn't close enough there, but he put Luke Rosella at risk of making a mistake there because it's so difficult to get that braking down into turn 1. Kai Jones's incident has happened quite a long time ago, so we won't be able to catch that. Whoops, sorry about that.
And Curt Stenberg all over the back of Luke Rosella as they come through the second sector and into the hairpin. Goes for the wide line as Luke Rosella goes uber defensive, and he is basically bump drafting him at this stage. You can see there on board, and you can see we've definitely got a little bit of
that's a bit of lag.
Little bit of lag.
That's not actually
They're
happening.
definitely not driving all over the offside of the track like that. But you can see just how close they are coming through this last corner onto the straight. And if he didn't have a go last time, I reckon Curt Stenberg's a shoo-in to have a go this time. He is now only 0.2 of a second behind, and that is shrinking. Luke Rosella goes to the inside to defend. Curt Stenberg's going to have to go the long way around. And it is basically a 180-degree corner. Actually, it's more than a 180-degree corner, the first turn.
Oh, that's a bit deep there. Can Curt Stenberg get up alongside for the inside to the next corner? He's almost done that. I thought he was completely out in the boonies, but Luke Rosella still has his car clear. He's been served. He's been served into the fence, has he? Or did he do that on his own?
Oh, I reckon that looked like a bit of contact, and Curt Stenberg moves over to let him through.
He's redressed, but has he fully given away the advantage? I don't know if he did. It's still side by side going into the hairpin, and Luke Rosella, this is shades of the last round at the bend. But
it's the last it's the last lap. I didn't realise it was the last lap.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the last lap. That's why we're building up to this crescendo. So Luke Rosella still leads, but Curt Stenberg's going to dive up the inside. He's going to get a little bit of the curb there. Curt Stenberg has the inside for the next part of this racetrack. And it is the last lap. It is the last corner. A little bit of lag there, and it is going to be an absolute drag race. Look who's behind them, Zach Baker. It is Curt Stenberg who's going to win this race only by a car length, and Zach Baker drops in behind in third place only just.
A little bit of lights flashing from Luke Rosella. Not sure if that's celebration or, mate, thanks for throwing me into the fence. Going out of turn 1.
Wow.
That was a incredibly close finish, my goodness. As they were basically side by side from the hairpin through to the last turn. And Curt Stenberg managed to hold on to it in the end by just under a tenth of a second.
Kurt's getting used to these side-by-side last laps. It was a little bit messier than the racing with Colin Warwick in the bend, but I guess that's to be expected. Colin and Curt have been racing each other for such a long time that they know each other inside and out on the racetrack. Luke Rosella and Curt Stenberg haven't been racing each other quite as long, but I'm sure they'll get there, especially given what we've just seen. I don't expect that's the last of these two we'll see racing each other.
Woo, what a finish, says Michael Zalavari, absolutely. And we also lost Alex Cattle in the closing laps there.
It's a shame.
So that is
two of the race
two
on
of the
Oz.
race on Oz.
Stable
Paddock.
mates.
Paddock mates, stable mates, you know, farm animals.
What? All of these racing terms, paddock, stable mates, they always sort of come from farm terms, don't they?
Yeah, I guess paddock bashing, you know, original racetracks maybe were. I got no idea. I was trying to muddle my way through to something.
Shut the bloody gate!
Failed.
That's what my Uncle Bob, who's a dairy farmer, always said, shut the bloody gate! And then their cockatoo, Charlie, started
repeat
to
it.
shut the bloody gate!
Incredible.
The other thing that cockatoo did was learn to imitate my cousin. Mom! It would come running from paddocks away. Mom! Did you call me? No, I didn't. It's Charlie.
Oh, it's incredible.
And Curt celebrates with some 11s down the main straight that he built.
the straight that Curt built.
We can't see him because he's behind the 200 board and
Very good.
back into the garage. The work is half done, or should I say 1/3 done, since the second race will be twice the distance of the one we've just watched.
Of course, we do have the 10-minute qualifying session and then a top 10 shootout for the second race. So that will be coming up very, very shortly.
Well, let's have a quick break before that, shall we, Madbird? And,
Absolutely.
We can refresh, and we'll come back with all the action from race 2 here at Hidden Valley.
Hello, everybody. Welcome backstage for the Automobilista Supercars Championship Bathurst 1000 stream, brought to you by Apex Rear Wing. This is just to give you a little look at our setup for the race today. So we've got our big main camera here, which is shooting our desk there. So that's when we're to camera, doing our little wrap-ups and stuff. That's where we're going to be. We've got these lovely green things, just sort of fake foliage to give us a bit of sound muffling, and also some very class behind the camera, currently filming me as I'm speaking. Over here we've got Stairs currently doing something very important before the stream begins, and indeed he's got some gaffer tape, so we won't interrupt him. But if you just come over here, you can see the enormous setup that we have. We've got 4 monitors, one of which is a TV, on which you can see Maddie Dunlop and Josh Bagsy. Bagsy's currently completing a Rubik's Cube, so you can see we're intelligent and talented here at Apex Rear Wing. So we've got 3 keyboards. We have got 3 mice. We have got a switcher. We have got 4 monitors. We're going to have 3 computers running. If you just come down here really quick, you can see we've got 1 computer over here, and then we've got another one here, and then we've got a third one over here. So lots and lots back here. You know, the 21st century, isn't it? So, and then through this door over here, if you just have we probably don't need to go in there, but if you just pop over here, James, and just have a sneaky peek through there, you'll be able to see that is our Kart FX bunker, where we've got Michael Zalavari doing some very important work on the whiteboard. So that's just a quick little brief look at the backstage here for the Automobilista Supercars Championship Bathurst 1000, and hope you've enjoyed.
Welcome back, everyone. So, race 1 was not a disappointment, man.
No, very close finish there between Curt Stenberg and Luke Rosella, as my co-commentator nearly throttles me.
My apologies.
With the headphone cables. But, you know, I'm alive. I am here, and I am not choked. So, and I've got some lovely water to wet my gullet. But good win from Curt Stenberg. Very close between himself and Luke Rosella at the end, and decent podium finish for Zach Baker, who the ZB Racing guys have been sort of out of sorts in comparison to their form last year, maybe, and probably a bit overdue for some decent podiums, I'd say, Zach Baker and David Enidich. And Zach Baker doing his best to make sure that we have a couple of those on offer tonight.
There's still 8 minutes left in this qualifying session to determine the top 10 for the top 10 shootout, and we haven't had any time set just yet, so everyone's sort of easing into this qualifying session. Yeah.
Looks like we've lost Kai Jones and somebody else. No, oh no, there he is.
Can't see Sean Allen in that list.
Sean Allen did appear to have a connection issue when he dropped out in the first race. So at the moment, the top 10 shootout will exclude 2 people, which is a shame for currently Zach Baker and David Nenadich, and they would hope to not be 11th and 12th by the time that the qualifying session runs up.
Yes, but only in 11th and 12th by virtue of not really by virtue of anything, really. The only sector time we've seen on live timing so far has been set by Zach Baker, who's currently
I'm not sure how
in 11th.
Not sure how live races
must be pit garage order.
Yeah, it might be pit garage. Of course, if you want to keep track of the live timing, hop on over to rsmclanau.liveraces.com and follow along with all the live timing that you could possibly desire, as Zach Baker crosses the line with a 105.964. So
it's the first time
on the board.
So currently just 2 cars remaining in the pit lane, and those cars belong to Lewis Wedding and Scott Morrell, as Zach Baker becomes not the only driver to have set a lap time, because Alex Cattle has joined him with a 106.494.
Very good, Alex Cattle.
Benjamin Dahlia jumps in there. Benjamin Dahlia, who has been racing this year in the Toyota 86 series in real life. So he was the Formula Ford Victorian champion from 2019. Didn't get to defend that last year because there was no Victorian Formula Ford championship as a result of the COVID pandemic.
Has there been a pandemic?
So it's very, very good news that he's back in a real-life racing car and is able to join us on I wouldn't say weekly basis, but monthly basis for the Automobilistic Supercars Championship.
However regularly it is basis for the Supercars Championship.
With minor, infrequent, but altogether too frequent interruptions from this aforementioned pandemic that you hadn't heard about.
Yeah, I'm surprised to hear about it. I thought I would have known that there was, a pandemic going on, especially since I got a jab for it on Friday.
Ah, good on you.
Absolutely, got my injection of
Pfizer?
5G. Yep. So I can only imagine that the government nanorobots are currently coursing through my bloodstream.
Oh yeah. God, if the government was good enough to create nanorobots, my goodness gracious me, they'd be a lot better than they are. Anyway, moving along, not to get on to political moments.
Political.
I don't want
Political-ish
conversations.
I hate it when don't touch me there. I'm political-ish.
Gracious.
While you're enjoying this qualifying session, make sure that you hop on down, give us a like, hit that thumbs up, and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It helps quite a lot. And hop on over to Facebook, give us a like on there as well. Automobilista Supercars Championship and Apex Rear Wing. A little bit of lag there.
Now this first corner, Manbird, they race the Australian Superbikes in real life here, and there was an incident at that first corner where someone's brakes Or they had some sort of technical issue and they couldn't brake properly. And
That's a major concern.
they ended up sort of, and there were 2 or 3 bikes ahead of them, and so to try and sort of arrest the speed, he tried to sort of go inside so he didn't hit them, but he just clipped that curb on the inside, which sent the back wheel up into the air, and he went straight into the side of this other guy. It was,
oh my goodness.
It was very, very lucky no one was badly hurt in that accident, because it was quite a scary off. Thank goodness there's so much runoff at the exit of that corner.
Veritable paddock at turn 1.
It is.
Before you hit any fence or anything, so it's very lucky. Same at the last corner. Oh, no, not that much actually. Looking at it on the reverse angle, looks like more.
So we've got our 10 times on the board, and the people who haven't done that are Scott Morrell and Lewis Wedding. Lewis Wedding is still in the pits.
Has not set even a sector time.
So that's interesting.
In this session so far, and Scott Morrell also hasn't left the pits, so they're leaving it late. I think they both have just left the pits.
They've both left the pits, and maybe it's a strategy. They're both actually running in the same team. They're both in those Ultimate 9 racing cars. So here is Scott Morrell, who looks like he's about to start his lap.
With 3 minutes to spare.
So the cutoff time is a 107.194. That's Cameron Parrott, who is in 10th place. So with the 2 dropouts from the beginning of race 1, Scott Morrell slides back end around turn 1. With the 2 dropouts from the first race, that has made the task of getting into the top 10 that much easier, because there's only 2 who miss out as opposed to 4.
Yeah, but imagine the shame of missing out on the top 10 when there's only 12 runners.
But yes, the shame is definitely going to be one factor.
I was talking to a friend of mine today at work, and he played golf. He plays golf competitions at Wollonga Golf Course, and I said, oh, how'd you do on the weekend? He said, oh, I came 4th. I'm like, oh yeah, that's not bad. He said, yeah, there are only 4 of us, which does make it seem a little bit worse in comparison. So sort of that sort of situation where it's like, oh, I came 11th. Oh yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, out of 12, which isn't what you want as Scott Morrell comes down the start-finish line.
You can only beat those who are there. So Scott Morrell's finished 11th. That's no good.
That is no good.
What can Lewis Wedding do? There's a joke. Oh well, there was a joke. There probably still is actually. in Germany, which is generally told in German because that's where it came from.
Oh yes.
But the English translation of the joke is this guy has gone out on safari and like, oh, how'd your safari go? Oh, wow, it was pretty good. Did you get any zebras? Yeah. Killed 4 zebras. Oh, that's great. Yeah. Did you kill any armadillo? Any elephants? Yeah. Got 1 elephant. Yeah. Any lions? Oh no, no lions. No lions? Oh yeah, but for lions, that's a lot. The longest time my dad didn't get that joke. As Lewis Wedding gets into the top 10 and drops Cameron Parrott out of the top 10.
Oh, very good.
You appreciate that one?
I do. I appreciate that quite a lot.
Scott Morrell can do. Can he get himself into the top 10? Yes, he can. So they drop Steve Warwick out. So now it's Steve Warwick and Cameron Parrott in the drop zone.
They are indeed. So Steve Warwick, father of the absent Colin Warwick, in 11th.
He drops Scott Morrell back out of the top 10. So Steve Warwick goes 9th.
So this is getting spicy now.
Cameron Parrott's in the pits. So Cameron Parrott is not a factor in this one. So this is very much spicy. Scott Morrell.
Very much spicy.
Scott Morrell is not going to have a reply.
No, he will not be able to.
Oh, actually, if he finishes his lap, he might have a chance.
Well, he won't be able to. He won't be able to set another lap time after this one. This is his last chance that he is currently on. As he comes through the last sector, and he doesn't look like he's going particularly quick. He's down on his PB and on the first. He's only just down on his PB, so if he has a decent exit from this corner, he could find his way up, but he would need to get about 0.3 of a second to surpass Steve Warwick, and it doesn't really look like that's going to be something that occurs, and it doesn't.
No good.
No good at all.
And even if you had done a better lap, Steve Warwick had another lap, so let's see whether he actually improved on that last lap. Steve Warwick comes across the line, a 106.4, puts him into 9th and drops David Nenadic down to 10th place. So these races for the top 10 shootout usually aren't particularly interesting in terms of that dropout. It's usually fairly obvious. This one was completely different.
Yeah, I mean,
we definitely had that.
We didn't pay too much attention to the top of the field, but we were very much paying attention to that, to the elimination zone at the bottom of the field, and it was swapping almost constantly. So very, very intriguing. You know what I did on the weekend, Stairs?
What did you do, Mad Bird?
I made a belt completely out of watches. It was a complete waste of time.
Fantastic. We've actually been joined by Colin Warwick in the commentary box with that qualifying session. Good chance to welcome Cole to the commentary box. Cole, how are you?
Oh, could be better, fellas. How are you guys?
Oh, we can't complain.
Yeah, pretty good. Just told a cracker of a joke, so you know.
So it's
Oh, yeah?
it's a big shame that we haven't got your racing out there tonight, Colin, but we understand you've been going through some stuff at the moment.
Yesterday morning I had a heart surgery. So that's why I'm actually not there racing tonight, which is unfortunate, but
That's a pretty decent excuse.
Health comes forward. Yeah, well, I had a little episode. Well, I've been having episodes for a while now with my heart, and yeah, fortunately, it got picked up on a monitor test 2 weeks ago now, and they put me straight into hospital. So all better now. Just on the recovery now, and just got to do the right things to make sure I can get back to do this stuff.
Absolutely. So that's quite a scary thing to have to confront. Thank goodness that they found it early. So the prognosis, I imagine, is good, and your recovery is on track.
Yeah, well, it's quite scary when you're told that the heart rhythms that did occur can be fatal. So
Yeah.
that wasn't good to hear. But had the surgery yesterday morning. Got discharged this morning. Just a quick turnaround, and yeah, now just recovering and watching the coverage wherever I can.
Well, we hope that we can provide some entertainment for you. If you can't be racing, at least you can be watching.
Yeah, that's it. And it's good to see the guys still having good racing there without me. It's a shame that I couldn't be up there. I think I'd be quite competitive, but press on for the next round, hopefully.
100%. If your form going from the last round at the Bend is anything to go by, you'll be right up there when you return. So we're looking forward to seeing you back at the next round there, Cole.
Yeah, no worries. Cheers for that, boys.
Perfect. Thank you for joining us, Colin Warwick. Got his first win in the Automobile Supercars Championship, first solo win, I should say, last round in the Bend.
And that was with a faulty heart. So now that it's all been fixed up, we can only imagine that he's going to be, he's going to be positively Daniel Ricciardo out there.
Look out.
Look out.
So yeah, it's
Colin Warwick 2.0.
Bit of a stark reminder of we're all human here, and we sort of see these names every week, and everyone's going through their own troubles. And,
speaking of troubles, David Nenadic with a bit of a messy run into the hairpin there, but yeah, absolutely. I've got the possibility of having a heart valve failure myself, and I've got to have a scan every couple of years, but all good so far. But it's but human body's quite a bit like a car, that there's a lot of parts that have to move in harmony to work, and if one part breaks, then it's very easy to slam into a tree.
Thank goodness for preventative medicine and screening techniques.
Thank God we don't live in the Middle Ages.
Well, I probably wouldn't have been born if it was the Middle Ages.
Oh.
So 106.4. Well, my mother's appendix burst when she was pregnant with me. So
yes, not ideal.
I don't think that would have been survivable without. Anyway, that's enough about me. Colin Warwick's father, Steve Warwick, who I'm sure he'll be enjoying watching on the broadcast, is about to start his lap, and he did well towards the back end of that qualifying session, getting not just into the top 10, but a couple of places into the top 10 to qualify his spot in this shootout.
Yeah, 9th he was, which is why he is the second one out on track, and would be hoping to do better than David Nandich. David Nandich probably a bit out of sorts, I would expect. I would have thought he would be higher up than 10th place, and I feel like he didn't qualify particularly well in the first race either, so...
and his first sector time has proved elusive to Steve Warwick, who was about a quarter of a second down on that.
So maybe just a poor qualifying session for David Nandich, but now that he's into the shootout, he could put down a more representative lap time. Of course, the two drivers, as we said, who did not get through are Scott Morrell and Cameron Parrott, so they will be starting 11th and 12th. They do not get to try to increase their positions. Steve Warwick's still down.
Yeah, but not by as much. He clawed it back to a tenth of a second, so there might be something in this to the line. It all depends on how he's managed the final sector and the exit out of that final corner. And he's lost about a tenth there, so a little bit swings and roundabouts that lap from Steve Warwick, and he qualifies in second place. But still the matter of the remaining 8 drivers in this qualifying session to go. But if anyone throws it off the racetrack, then they will be behind Steve Warwick.
They will. So RSM Latino next at the block, down the start finish straight across the line to start his flying lap in this shootout, and then looks like we've got Lewis Wedding next up after RSM finishes his lap. So into the first corner he goes, nice and tidy along the apex there. It's a very, very long corner, just over 180 degrees you end up going around, so it is a lot of time with your left hand down. But he looks like he's about 0.4 of a second down on David Nedich's time. So David Nedich, despite only qualifying 10th for the shootout, has put down a decent lap time by the looks of it.
Nothing to lose when he did that lap, so he clearly committed to that lap, and it's proving elusive. RSM Latino is going to be a 10th behind Steve Warwick as well.
RSM has actually gained a 10th through that second sector.
I was finishing that sentence and not really processing what I was looking at, but RSM Latino has clearly had a very, very strong middle sector.
It didn't look particularly clean. I saw a little puff of brake smoke as he came into the hairpin, but it looks as if it's worked out for him, and he goes first fastest by just under half a tenth of a second.
Lost a bit in that final sector, but he still manages to qualify ahead of the other 2 that have gone. So RSM Latino lays down a gauntlet there for Lewis Wedding. Here is Lewis Wedding, long way behind on his outlap. Well, actually not that far.
Yeah, for God's sake, Lewis.
Goodness gracious me.
Goodness gracious me.
A meticulous preparatory outlap, I would have thought, from Lewis Wedding, if I know Lewis Wedding.
I like to think we do. Through that long first corner and onto this long, not quite straight, probably about 8 corners in there if you listen to the track map, but I do not.
Backs it in there.
Nearly 0.3 of a second up through the first sector, so good lap time so far for Lewis Wedding.
Yeah, like Lewis Wedding is a driver who underrates himself. I think he doesn't think he's as good as he is, and often I think it's because the amount of time that he spends doing admin-y sort of stuff, running the ASR and creating skin packs and track skins and stuff like that. He could be spending practicing, but he doesn't, just because he loves sim racing so much and he enjoys being part of these communities. So
I always remember that one.
He sacrifices a bit of speed doing that.
That one BTCC race he came for at Apex Rear Wing, where he hopped in a car he hadn't driven before, the Volvo, and won the bloody race. So.
Did he get a track cut?
Oh, he must have gotten a track cut somewhere.
No. And he was well up as well. He was about a tenth and a half.
Would he have gotten that? I didn't see him particularly. He's not happy about it.
No. Nor should he be.
I'm not sure where that was, because it didn't look like he was particularly far off the track at any point.
Find before the next driver starts their lap. It might have been on one of those sort of wide angles where we didn't see.
I reckon it was in the last sector.
It was in the last sector, because The timing screen shows him a time for the first and second sector.
It was
We're going to cut
barely
now
off.
to Benjamin Dahlia because he's starting his lap. But yeah, if it was off, it wasn't by much.
Oh, that is frustrating for Lewis Wedding. Just as we were talking him up, he's going to be starting from 10th place at this stage, unless someone else does not set a lap time. That is mighty disappointing.
Desperate luck.
Desperate luck, but you know, he's starting from 10th. He can easily make up a few places. It is a much longer race.
Look at this.
Double the length.
The timing split from Benjamin Dahlia is the same colour as his car, bright green, 0.3 of a second up. So from Benjamin Dahlia, that's a 22.6. It was still faster than Lewis Wedding's but first sector, which was also magic.
Nearly half a second up on RSM Latino's time is Benjamin Dahlia coming through the last sector and around the last corner onto the start-finish straight. Down he goes.
Very close to that wall again you keep mentioning.
Terrifying. I think it must look closer to us than it does from the inside of those cockpits.
Wow, look at that. 0.6 of a second the advantage there for Benjamin Dahlia. So that is something to behold.
First runner into the 105s.
Yes. So Brody Steen, see that's a bit closer on the outlap. As we cut to him, he's going through the final corner. But was his preparatory lap as fastidious as Lewis Wedding's?
Fastidious is a good word.
Trying to get my word usage up. Well, it's been 6 weeks, so we are a little bit out of practice.
Fastidious, vigorous. I did just notice Marcus Alivari said "Mad Bird, I hate you" at one
yes.
stage. I imagine that would have been due to my fantastic
It's
joke.
interesting that the automatic sensor has picked that up and blocked that message. So apparently hate is held for review. The word hate.
How interesting. I've got another one for you.
YouTube protecting us.
Ooh, bit deep there for Brody Steen. Do you know how much a chimney costs?
No, I don't know how much a chimney costs.
It costs nothing. It's on the house.
I hate it and I love it.
Oh, very good.
And Brody Steen's going to be hating the fact
Yeah.
that he's half a second down, but Benjamin Dahlia did do a very, very good lap, it has to be said. So Brody Steen might still get a decent position here, even though he's a long way off the provisional pole time.
Probably still slot into second place at this rate.
Let's see. It's
No.
Third with the number of the
Oh.
devil, 666.
666.
So he's only just a 1/100th of a second down on RSM Latino, so that's very, very, very close indeed from those two.
Alex Cattle now. So can he continue this this bit of a trend of the sister team out qualifying the main team? Of course, we don't have Sean Allen. We've only got Brody Steen from the main team.
The absence of Sean Allen might give some others an opportunity.
Marcus Alivari saying, "I'm proud to be caught by the YouTube censor."
I don't know that the thing about the YouTube censor on these live chats is it means no one else can see the message. So you could just spam, "Oh, I hate you, you're a SOB," and the only person who's going to see it is the person it's intended for.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get defended by all the people who like you.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm not sure how many people there are listening who would jump in to defend my honour.
I'm sure there'd be at least a couple.
Appreciate the vote of confidence. But no, yeah. So it's not like it's not protecting the person from being attacked. You still see the attack. It's just no one else sees the attack. So you suffer alone.
Alex Cattle's very close to either being second or fifth here. He was about 7/10 down through that second sector split. Let's see what it is. Has he gained through the final sector? No, he hasn't. Sixth, and that could have gone a lot better.
Couldn't have just. So he still will be ahead of Lewis Wedding, of course, because he did not set a lap time at all, much to his chagrin. Next up,
Zach Baker.
being Zach Baker. Whoa.
Getting some temperature in those
Getting
tyres.
some brake magic into some Mercedes brake magic.
Not in the rear tyres.
Not in the rear tyres.
That's the opposite of brake magic, burnouts.
Yes.
That's, what do you call that? Throttle magic.
Throttle magic.
Actually, I quite like that.
Throttle
Quite proud
magic.
of that. Some throttle magic there from Zach Baker.
There used to be Martin Brundle saying, "Oh, it looks like they're just having fun doing some throttle magic on the way to the grid."
Got a box full of neutrals.
Got a box full of neutrals.
Oh, that corner is not Harry Flatters.
I put it in an MGH group on Facebook. It was the one of like, say the line, Martin. Box full of neutrals. Yay!
There was another one of those with Lewis in the middle. Go, say the line, Lewis. What happened, guys?
Yay!
He's taking forever to get those last 2 wins to get him to 100. I just want to see someone get to 100 wins.
I know, Red Bull have suddenly
You put up
decided
with
to become...
6 years of dominance, you want to see someone reach some sort of milestone.
It's how ironic would it be if Red Bull were just completely dominant from here on out and he does not get to 100 wins?
Oh, God.
How good is the word chagrin, though? Thank you, Michael. I'm glad someone appreciated my use of the word chagrin.
Yes. As opposed to
Chagrin.
Chafrown. So, Zach Baker, is he going to have a chagrin or a chafrown? It is. Oh, it's a chafrown when you miss out on pole by that much.
Chafrowny
That much
face.
to his chagrin. He ends up only half a tenth off pole position. So, that was a mighty good effort there from Zach Baker.
Chafrown. My goodness. As we see Luke Rosella, who was so very close to winning that first race, coming down to start. Whoop! As we see Lewis Wedding sitting in the pits. And now back to Luke Rosella, starting his hot lap. So, can he put it on the front row? And more importantly, can he put it on pole position?
A bit wide there through the first corner. Is he going to hook it up for a late apex? We will see when he comes to the first sector split whether he's lost time as a result of that. And he hasn't. So 400ths of a second. Well, everyone else stand up and pay attention. That's the line through turn 1.
Apparently. I quite like turn 1 and this hairpin because there are a few different lines that work. You can sort of get a very late apex and get a better drive out of the corner, or you can tuck it up nice and neat.
Didn't trouble the apex through the hairpin at turn 6 either, but I still reckon it'll be fast because he seems to be able to be finding good grip around there, and indeed he is now up by 1/10 and a half on the time set by Benjamin Dahlia. So this is turning out to be a terrific lap from Luke Rosella.
It is indeed. Gets perilously close to that wall once again.
As you say, it probably doesn't look... It's not as close as it looks. 0.2 of a second, Luke Rosella finds provisional pole position, and I think he'll be quite well pleased with that.
He'll have a chagrin on his face, that's for sure. As we switch to Curt Stenberg.
Well, this is the only man who can deny him now.
We simply deny them that.
Missing someone? Because
Deny them
that would only be 9 when Curt...
Lewis Wedding did not set a lap time.
That's right.
Due to his track cut, so he will be starting from 10th.
Good catch. Curt Stenberg starts his lap.
Thank you very much.
For the catch?
For the catch, not for Curt Stenberg starting his lap.
Yeah, well...
Thank you, Curt,
that
for
was
starting your lap.
Given.
Yeah.
So again, that wide line around the middle part of the corner. So it's like a double apex for the front two there. Got a little bit of 2 wheels on the grass on the exit, but I don't think that'll cost him. Let's see what it is to the first sector split. He's up by a marginal amount, 3/400ths of a second. And let's see what sort of line he takes through turn 2. Very similar to Luke Rosella. So these guys are the ones to pay attention to when it comes to the lines to take through this section.
Yep, so coming up to the second sector split. And he is up by just under 1/10 of a second. So it's going to be quite close. If he gets a decent exit from the last corner, you would expect that he has got this in the bag. Pole position is Curt Stenberg's to lose at this stage.
Just the sprint to the line now, and Curt Stenberg, is it pole position or is it second? It is pole position by an even 1/10 of a second. That is a strong lap.
That is very satisfying.
It's very satisfying there.
Exactly.
Not if you're Luke Rosella though.
0.100 seconds.
Well, that was a strong shootout there from the two who we saw fighting right down to the line at the end of race 1. So Curt Stenberg takes pole position from Luke Rosella by 1/10 of a second. Benjamin Dahlia and Zach Baker on the second row, around about 3/10 back, and then a huge gap down to RSM Latino in 5th. And they all came thick and fast after that, sort of all within 1/10 or 2. RSM Latino, Brody Steen, David Nedidich, Stephen Warwick, and then Alex Cattle. And then Lewis Wedding got a track cut on his lap. He will start from 10th place with Scott Morrell and Cameron Parrott, the two who did not make it into the shootout.
I don't know what. That's not the noise a parrot makes. That's the noise a chicken makes.
Well, misidentifying birds is something that you have a long history of.
I hate magpies. Oh, what? I hate magpies. Oh, Christ. Very good.
Christ in a teapot. Well, that was a
Christ in a teapot.
that was a good start to the night.
Good start to what's going to be race 2.
Good start to the middle of the night.
Very good.
So the race, to remind you, is going to be a 38-lap race with fuel set at ×2. Compulsory pit stop between laps 1 and 34. I forgot to ask Cole about that. What was the mentality behind the compulsory pit stop? But it probably doesn't seem right after he was talking about the health issues that he's been dealing with.
Hope you're feeling alright, Cole. Congratulations on the successful surgery.
I don't know if watching...
By the
I
way...
don't know if watching side-by-side battles on the last lap of a race is what you should be doing when you're trying to ease a heart problem.
Probably better to be watching it than to be participating in it.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I feel like I was nearly having a coronary in some of my battles with Brenton Foley and the DRMs in Apex Rear Wing. I was very confused for a second because...
He's a very calm man, though.
Brenton Foley or Colin Warwick?
Colin Warwick. Every time you speak to him, it's just like...
Yeah,
everything's chill, you know. He's just had like an entire lap side by side with Curt Stenberg. It's like, that was fun. Yeah, it was good.
That was good fun.
Yeah. Wish I could channel some of that sometimes. But I guess then I wouldn't be a very good commentator if I was
exactly.
If I was always flat. So everyone's got their strengths and weaknesses.
Don't they just? What a wonderful philosophical statement to make.
Well, saying something that I consider my own weakness to be a strength. I don't know. It's a bit like one of those job interviews. What do you think your do you think your strengths are? Oh, I just work too hard.
Yeah.
Oh, perfectionist.
I care too much.
Go get effed, you big C.
Probably don't. Imagine that'd be quite a bad interview.
Well,
if the interviewer told you, go get effed, you big C, you'd be like, oh my god, I'm not sure I want to work here anyway.
Very professional of the employer to maintain a PG rating for that interview.
Would that be considered PG? If you very strongly implied the swear words that you're using?
Yeah, but if the kid hasn't heard those words,
that's
then
very
they
true.
Still will not be...
Go get flipped, you big cockatoo.
Oh, fruit basket.
Fudge. Fudge.
You big pile of shock absorbers.
Oh my goodness. Store high in transit.
What are we looking at?
What are we looking at? We're looking at a replay of an empty piece of track.
Store high in transit. That's actually not a replay.
Store high in transit being I think a false myth, or probably just a myth in that sense. An urban legend. I don't believe the word that starts with S that means poop.
Oh, I see what you're getting.
I don't believe that. I don't believe store high in transit.
One of those fornicate under command of the king type things.
Yeah. It's one of those things that I get customers come in, in their 70s or whatever, and someone says it, and he's like, oh, you know what that stands for? Store high in transit. I'm like, yeah, right, mate. Very good. Here's your bin calendar. Get out of my face.
You don't send out your bin calendar?
No, they're very controversially, if you listen to some of our older residents, because we printed 30,000 of them last year and only 2,000 of them actually got used.
How do you know?
They keep track of how many we got rid of at the end of last month.
How do you get... Why don't you just print 2,000 instead of 38,000 or whatever?
Oh, well, we're not printing any this time around.
Yeah, but instead of not printing any, just print less.
Oh, because it's still a waste.
Print the ones that got used.
Nah. We can
still a significant saving.
We can still print out. We can still print them out when people come in for them. We're just not having them ready.
So how come so many didn't get used?
It's people using there's an app what you can get on your phone. People using the website.
But how do you know they're not getting used?
Because people didn't come and get them. We haven't sent them out for a couple of years. So we had 30,000 of them printed out, sitting in. Well, yeah,
Except
But
not
Mitcham
every
Coun-
year. It's every second year.
Mitcham Council also asked for a police report if your bin goes missing before they'll replace it.
And they won't replace a green bin because
Yeah.
apparently that belongs to the owner. 2 green bins at our last house, and neither of
Useless
them had
council.
lids.
Absolutely.
So every time it
useless.
rained, I had to put the bin on its side, which is not very useful if it's full
If
of
it's
stuff.
full.
Anyway, we've spent this entire warm-up session talking about
Oh.
issues to do with councils and wheelie bins.
Absolutely. Or
There was
issues
a
that
joke.
affect your daily life.
There was a joke my dad told, and I can't remember most of it, so I'm probably gonna.
Well, thank God. Please tell it.
No, it's just like this guy comes. Now the trouble is, I'm struggling with the context of the joke.
Very good.
But the guy comes up and he says, "Oh, where's you been?" He said, "Oh, I just, you know."
I've got to admit, I've got to tell you, I'm underwhelmed by this joke so far.
and he like tells him a furphy, and it's obviously a furphy, you know, a lie.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yes.
And he goes, no, where's your wheelie bin? He's like, oh, in jail.
What? I'm glad you're entertained, because I've got no idea what you're going on about.
He's thinking that he's saying, where have you been?
Where?
But he's saying, where's your bin? Like,
Oh, where have you been?
he said,
Where's
no,
your
but
bin?
where have you really been? No, but where's your wheelie bin?
Oh, okay.
There are a lot of chunks missing that would make that funnier.
I can see.
I'm not drunk. I've just been up since 5:30.
doubting that less and less. Or I'm believing that less and less.
Alright, let's go through. Whoops, sorry about that. Let's go through the grid, shall we? Curt Stenberg,
Do it, Stairs.
pole position. And the winner from race 1, so he's definitely the form man. But can this guy do anything about it? Luke Rosella in second place for Synergy Sim Rating. In second place. Behind him, Benjamin Dahlia, always on the improve. Very, very good qualifying from him in that shootout to get up into third place. The highest race on Oz guy again. Zach Baker in fourth place behind him, alongside on the second row. And then we've got RSM Latino. Another good showing there for the Warwick racing team for RSM Latino in fifth place. Behind him, we've got Brody Steen for Race on Oz. Driving the Mustang there, ahead of David Nenadich, fellow Mustang driver for ZB. Then we've got Steve Warwick in 8th place for Warwick Racing Team there, and then we've got Alex Cattle behind him. Then we've got the two stablemates of Lewis Wedding and Scott Morrell for Ultimate 9 Racing. Lewis Wedding unfortunately getting a track cut in that top 10 shootout, and Scott Morrell just missing out on the top 10 shootout. Those two will start ahead of Cameron Parrott in 12th place.
Bloody well done, Stairs.
Thank you.
Ran through the order much better than you told that joke.
I'll find out what the joke was one day.
Alright, we'll report back next race.
Although I have already told you the punchline.
Where have you wheelie been? In jail.
No, but where's your wheelie bin? It was the way you say that I remember so specifically. I just don't remember any of the rest of the joke.
Where's your wheelie bin?
Oh, 0 for lions is a lot.
Oh, had my 50th birthday party. Yeah, 1 would have been enough.
What? What?
I had my 50th birthday party. 1 would have been enough.
But then you would only be 1.
You've had 50 birthday parties. Oh,
Well, let's move on because we're about to go racing for the second time.
Aren't
here.
we just?
38 laps and a lot of wheel spin there from Alex Cattle out of third place. But once again, it looks like Curt Stenberg's going to get the whole shot as that wasn't Alex Cattle, it was Benjamin Dahlia, I beg your pardon, who's defending from the two ZB cars. It's Luke Rosella clear in second place. ZB in fourth and fifth side by side ahead of Brody Steen. And it looks like they've got through the first corner cleanly.
yeah, so no tussling through the first turn by the looks of it. Benjamin Dahlia doing well to defend that third place from the two ZB guys. David Nadich all over the back of Zach Baker, but now coming under attack from Brody Steen, going through the hairpin. And Zach Baker up the inside of Benjamin Dahlia, and it looks like he might have the job done. Indeed, he does.
Yeah, I reckon there was a bit of a punt there, so we might see if we can follow up on
A
that.
little bit of a tap.
Just a dip, just a little bit.
Just a dip.
Just a dip. Have a dip, mate.
Have a dip into the hairpin at Hidden Valley. A little bit of a dip as Luke Rosella keeping in touch with Curt Stenberg as they come to finish the first lap of this race. The laps just go by very quickly here.
They do. So this is very, very close here for Luke Rosella into turn 1. Does he have a go
Looks like it.
down the inside? Indeed he does on the brakes. This is shades of the last lap of the previous race. Curt Stenberg, 2 wheels on the grass there. He's going to give Luke Rosella a little bit of an opportunity, and Luke Rosella has managed to nab the lead from him.
Very well done there from Luke Rosella. So this is what he needs to do, because I think if Curt Stenberg gets out to an early lead, he's going to struggle to reel it in.
This will have the benefit of the pit stop.
Very, very close between the two of them. A little bit of overlap as they go through the hairpin. Curt Stenberg having to slot in behind Luke Rosella for the time being.
Quick replay of the first lap. Oh, sorry about that. Of the first lap move there between Zach Baker and Alex. Sorry,
Benjamin Dahlia.
Benjamin Dahlia, and I must apologise to Zach Baker because I thought he punted.
It was incredibly clean.
I thought he punted him, but he didn't. So that was a very, very clean move. Oh my goodness.
That was a defensive
bit of lag.
Defensive move from Luke Rosella. Not quite that defensive. He didn't phase through the wall and onto the drag strip that runs alongside the main straight. Manages to hold on to that lead down the start-finish straight, but very, very deep through the first corner. That would be a tiny bit of lag, but not entirely. Definitely a deep line there for Luke Rosella, with Curt Stenberg now almost alongside as they go through this early part of the second sector.
Armfuls of opposite lock coming out of the first corner. He would have almost ripped his shoulders out of his socket trying to hold on to that one, and Curt Stenberg, by virtue of sticking around the outside through turn 5, has managed to get the inside through turn 6. There was a little bit of bumping going on through there, and there's also a little bit of lag to boot there, so it's a little bit difficult to see exactly what's happening there. But Curt Stenberg has managed to wrestle back the lead.
And Zach Baker, this is looking very familiar compared to the last race, except this time Benjamin Dahlia is also in the party here for the top 4, with very, very close between first, second, third and fourth. A little bit of a gap back to 5th, which is David Nedich and Brody Steen, and then Lewis Wedding up into 7th, so up 3 positions from his start.
Is this deja vu? Even closer though, because Luke Rosella is looking very racy in the early part of this race. In race 1, I don't think there was quite this much action between Luke Rosella and Curt Stenberg, but they've got a lot longer in this race to go than they had in race 1 before the pit stops.
Well, Curt Stenberg had a much bigger lead at the start of the first race, and then Luke Rosella and Zach Baker sort of reeled him in for the first 6 or 7 laps. Whereas this time, he hasn't got that luxury, and Luke Rosella's been all over the back of him, except for when Curt Stenberg's been all over the back of Luke Rosella.
So Benjamin Dahlia, after being passed by Zach Baker on the first lap, was hanging with these top 3. Zach Baker's actually just dropped off a little bit, but was looking like Benjamin Dahlia, even though he fell that position. Benjamin Dahlia, even though he fell that position on the first lap, he had the pace, but it is just stretching out a little bit on this lap.
Under 0.2 of a second for Luke Rosella. Does he have a go? No, he doesn't. So looks like you sort of need to be within those about 0.3 of a second as you come onto the start-finish straight in order to have a go into turn 1, which is difficult to maintain going through all these twisty sections of sectors 2 and 3.
So as you were for this lap?
Yes, sir.
As you were, less sir. They're all, yes.
Less sir.
Stumbling over my worms tonight. Quite a few plates being spun concurrently. So
many balls.
Many balls.
In the air, that is. And in pants.
Just settling in for this race, and it's a bit of a longer one, so they are going to have to manage tyres and fuel at some point. We saw fuel being a deciding factor at the end of the feature race at the Bend, didn't we?
We did indeed.
We didn't know it.
No, we didn't. We thought that Curt was just being a bit of a tool.
He was saving dramatically. towards the back end of that race.
Now, Luke Rosella might be able to have a go here. 0.2 of a second, the gap, but no, just decides to hold station for the moment and glue himself to the rear bumper of Curt Stenberg's car.
Further behind, we've got Brody Steen, who's got a fan in the chat, StickDeath1980, saying go Brody.
Go Brody.
Currently in 6th place. And so David Nedidich up to 5th. Has got ahead of Brody Steen, and Lewis Wedding you can see in 7th place, putting Brody Steen under a little bit of pressure as well. So this is sort of this following gaggle that's not that far behind the leading gaggle. They're still within about 5 seconds.
Within gaggling distance.
Of Curt Stenberg. They are within gaggling distance. Any spin from the front guys, and they will find themselves behind this gaggle. Well, what's happened at the lead? We've had a bit of a mistake there from Luke Rosella. He's dropped that position to Zach Baker, who's now vying for the lead with Curt Stenberg here.
Side by side, down the start-finish straight between both Zach Baker and Curt Stenberg, and between Luke Rosella and Benjamin Dahlia. Zach Baker's going to have the inside for turn 1, and very well done there. He's very good on the brakes and has managed to hold on to that position all the way through turn 1. A little bit of opposite lock there for Curt Stenberg, it looked like, and Zach Baker's managed to hung on to that first position. He's overtaken him down the start-finish straight, and now Zach Baker, so we've had 3 leaders already, and we're only on lap 7.
So Zach Baker now leads this race on pace. So it's been a long time since we've seen Zach Baker lead a race on pace, but he's just bowled it wide coming out of turn 6, and that's going to allow Curt Stenberg to drive around the outside of him coming into the final sector. Luke Rosella's going to get his nose in there. He doesn't want Curt Stenberg to get away too much. So
how close these 4 are.
This mistake from Luke Rosella around about a lap ago, we haven't had a chance to see a replay of it yet, but we will see if we can follow up on that if this settles down and we get an opportunity to. Benjamin Dahlia had the best seat in the house, and look, those guys behind within gaggling distance, still within gaggling distance.
Absolutely, and you can see Zach Baker just not able to stick quite as close to Curt Stenberg as Luke Rosella was, and swerving out to defend against Luke Rosella, and maybe just remind Curt Stenberg that he's there as they go through turn 1, and all very, very close. Luke Rosella trying to go up the inside of the exit of turn 1, but not able to do so, and he will be getting frustrated sitting behind that ZB car.
So we've got an opportunity now to just see the replay here. This was about a lap ago, so Luke Rosella actually got into the back of Curt Stenberg. And so that checked them both up, and that was when Zach Baker swooped through into the lead. So it was a mistake from Luke Rosella that cost Curt Stenberg as well.
What constitutes gaggling distance, says Michael Zalavari? It's the distance where you can hear someone going, "Galala," which is definitely the case between Benjamin Dahlia and David Nedidich.
How does that go?
That's gaggling.
Very good.
If you weren't aware. So
Curt Stenberg has managed to get a little bit of a gaggle, a little bit of a gap.
A little bit of gaggle.
From Luke Rosella, so he now has some space to breathe. So everything had kicked off, and now it has settled down a little bit.
It has. So Luke Rosella can set about closing that distance once again, and hopefully not running into the back of Curt Stenberg during the last couple of laps of the race. Michael Zalavari. So while you were doing that, the lead changed. No, it didn't.
Yeah, Curt was in the lead anyway.
Curt was already in the lead. Michael Zalavari, you pillock.
I don't know. Oh, a bit of a moment there. All lit up. There was a bit of throttle magic there from Zach Baker, but he managed to hold on to it there. And Benjamin Dahlia is now all over his rear clacker.
Yeah, and they are
to his front clacker.
They are dropping off this this front this front battle just a little bit. Michael Zalavari, of course, not a pillock. Lovely man.
Oh, yes, he was distracted by our gaggling. So once again, it's our fault. Assume responsibility, my friend.
Oh, my goodness.
I kid.
Of course. So Luke Rosella resuming his battle with Curt Stenberg within 2/10 as they cross the line.
Bad Alex Cattle DNF at some point, so it's an unfortunate end to the Race on Oz drivers race.
Boy, shouldn't that have been caught by the sensor?
Which one? Gaggle? Or dong? No, doing. I couldn't see the eye.
Dong!
It's about time for my visit to OPSM, evidently.
Apparently. Get you some glasses, my friend.
Nah, I'm alright. I'm still alright for the time being.
Need glasses in order to see your dong. That was
Oh, goodness.
an opportunist dig at your penile size.
Oh, yeah? Yeah, I find it to be adequate.
Oh, very good.
A solid handful.
I'm glad you can find it.
Can't you find yours?
No.
Oh.
It's lost in a jungle.
It's alright. It's Mel's job.
I don't need to find it as long as Mel can. As Luke Rosella.
Temperate or rainforest?
Depends on the time of year.
Gracious.
During this time of year, temperate. On a 40-degree day, definitely rainforest.
Ah, yeah. Awesome.
Humid as fuck. Humid as heck.
Oh, we've done so well. We've done so well to keep this broadcast clean.
Brody Steen spun in turn 5, by the way, says Michael Zalamari.
Thank you. Getting us back on track.
So
As
down
a result
into
of spinning at turn 5, back into 8th place.
down into 8th place. Michael Zalamari says, please change the subject. And Mr. Walshy73 saying expert commentary, Floody. So while we were discussing my dong. Michael Zalvari is looking out
So
for...
because I misread the word doing.
Luke Rosella is right on the back of Curt Stenberg coming down the start-finish straight. We're on lap 11.
Michael keeps us in check. Whenever
Doesn't he
Michael's
just?
around, our commentary is a lot more focused on...
I reckon Luke Rosella's going to have a go here. He does. Down into turn 1. It's a little bit of a late move, but he's got it up alongside and manages to get the braking done.
Well, once again, though, Curt Stenberg manages to hang tough around the outside, which gives him the inside for 5. This is a very common move that we see here at Hidden Valley. It gives him the ideal line here. Now, the counter there for Luke Rosella is if he can hang around the outside of here, it gives him the inside for 6. But 6 is one of those corners. Oh, they both go a little bit wide there and some server lag to boot. There's so much grip on the outside line of the hairpin there that they continue to stay side by side. And here we go. Luke Rosella on the grass, but back onto the racetrack there. Just lag there. And it is Curt Stenberg leading the race still.
It is. Oh, looked like a little bit messy. Whoa, what is happening? Luke Rosella into the lead. It looked like Curt Stenberg went off the track there going through the last sector. I'm not sure if there was a little bit of...
This is definitely some lag. I can hear a car travelling through the pit lane.
Who is it?
It's one of the 9 cars.
We've got Scott Morrell in the pits.
Yeah. So once again here we've got side-by-side action going into turn 1. And it's Curt Stenberg who's going to try and switch up underneath Luke Rosella. Oh, once again, they're side-by-side coming out of 1, but it's Luke Rosella who's going to have the inside into 5. Once again, this battle is going on and on. I've got the replay of Brody Steen spinning at 5 queued up, but I haven't been able to play it for a lap and a half because these guys are going at it. Hammer and tongs.
And this is keeping Zach Baker and Benjamin Dahlia in touching distance. In fact, they've gotten right back up alongside. Zach Baker's going to be almost alongside Luke Rosella coming out of the hairpin. Luke Rosella quickly moves across to defend that, hangs on to that second position.
They haven't got a watching brief, they've got a watching report on this battle for the lead.
It's not brief, it's 5.5 pages long, both sides in longhand.
That's not a synopsis.
As they come through the last corner. What? As Mr. Walshy in the chat just saying, you are crude, rude, and undesirable. Everything I like in a person. Well,
and then he corrected his grammar.
But forgot the apostrophe.
That's all right, though.
Very good. Take me out.
Inside line once again here from Luke Rosella.
Take me out for dinner first.
So this time, this is a swap around on the positions on the previous lap. Now it's Curt Stenberg on the inside, so they're going tit for tat.
They are. So this has been, I think, 3 laps in a row they've been battling through the first sector. Oh!
So even numbered laps, Curt has the inside through 5. Odd numbered laps, Luke Rosella has the inside through 5.
And who's going to have the inside for the hairpin? It's going to be Curt Stenberg, but Luke Rosella's trying to go around the outside, which if he manages to hang on to it, which will of course be the inside for the next corner. As we keep discussing, this is a very twists back and forth track. And eventually you get the inside of the next corner, and Luke Rosella managed that one. And now Zach Baker's all over the back of Curt Stenberg. This is some fantastic racing.
Oh, he's going to have a go there. I wonder if Curt Stenberg just had his eyes in the mirror there. He's not quite as close to Luke Rosella coming out of this final corner as he might have liked to have been. They don't go past the Charlie Whiting Memorial Crane because that's back in South Australia. But they do go across the straight, separated by just tenths of a second.
Curt Stenberg going for the inside into turn 1, but Luke Rosella covered that off just. Very well done.
All right, so it's Luke Rosella on the outside through turn 1 and the inside coming into turn 5. It must be an odd-numbered lap. And indeed it is, coming into 5. It is Luke Rosella. He's actually got himself clear of Curt Stenberg before they got to the corner. And I would say that gives him some breathing space, but there's never breathing space around here when Curt Stenberg is in your mirrors, is there?
He built the track, as we've said about 8 times so far tonight, I reckon. And Michael Zalavari just saying to use the stairsism, second, and then in brackets third, and I think 4th or 5th now verse is the same as the first.
I don't know why that's been attributed to me. I feel like that was a Nether thing, but he never said it was a stairsism, and I don't know.
And now it's just.
I don't remember being the first to say that.
Well, you've got the credit now. All right, so don't.
Before they get to turn 1, here's the replay of the Brody Steen thing. I know this is risky, but I'll keep you abreast if there's a change. But he was battling side by side here
with Luke Rosella, by the looks of it. Lewis Wedding, and down through the first sector, then into the corner before the hairpin, and looked like a little bit of love language on the back there from Lewis Wedding.
And that was it.
And that was all she wrote. Lead hasn't changed, but they are side by side.
It's about to, though. Oh. Now, what's going on? That's an even-numbered lap, and Luke Rosella was on the inside of 5, so they've forgotten their positions there.
Yep, not happy, Jan, as they go through the hairpin. Luke Rosella trying to hang on around the outside to get the inside line for turn 7. But it looks like Curt Stenberg's muscled his way through, so this is exhausting racing, both to watch and to race, I imagine. As Zach Baker and Benjamin Daly are just like, come on, take each other out, as they're hanging right on their coattails.
In the next few laps, though, this race, from a strategy point of view, will be ripe for the picking if someone wants to attempt an undercut. But the question remains how long those tyres are going to last. We saw Luke Rosella struggling a little bit towards the back end of that race. And once again, they go side by side through turn 1. We should still be getting excited about it, but it's every single lap that seems to happen. So Luke Rosella manages to get, once again, clear before turn 5. Curt Stenberg's going to go for the inside, though, and that's a very low percentage move there, because once you, even if you get the move done, you're on the outside coming into turn 6. So line astern, and look at RSM. Is that RSM Latino in the back of that shot who's hanging tough, or is that a lapped runner?
No, I believe that is. Yeah, No,
it's Steve Warwick.
It is Steve Warwick.
So he's just made a pit stop by the looks of it, and has come out behind them.
Yeah, it's a little bit like, I remember last year in Formula 1 when we had a red flag at, I can't remember what the first track last year was that we had a red flag because we had so many. I think it was, Austria. I was like, oh my God, because I think it was the second red flag I've ever seen in Formula 1. And I was like, my goodness, this is exciting. And by now I'm like, this is at least 15 minutes worth of not watching racing because we've had so many bloody red flags.
You should have seen, what was it? Malaysia 2009.
Lots of red flags.
Absolutely bucketed down, and they red flagged it, and the race never got started.
Oh, very good. Well, was
and one of my main memories of that race was that they knew the rain was coming, and before it had started, they brought classic Ferrari strategy, brought Kimi in for wets, even though the track was still dry. And so he went out there on wets on a dry track, destroyed them in a lap and a half, and then it started raining. But his tyres were rooted, and so he was driving on slicks, and he just came over on the radio saying, "My tyres are completely destroyed." A horrible Kimi accent.
Oh, yeah, that was very Italian.
Yeah.
My tyres, they are completely destroyed.
He wasn't particularly happy.
Was it Canada one year where they had
4-hour race,
where they red flagged it for 2 hours, and Jenson Button went from last to winning the race?
Incredible race, that one.
Oh. And yeah,
Benjamin Dahlia has jumped into the pit lane.
All right, so he's taken the gamble. He wasn't really getting anywhere behind Luke Rosella, Curt Stenberg, and Zach Baker.
Yeah, Michael Zalavari saying 90 minutes of watching rain fall on tents on the grid. Yes. It was a bit similar in the Nürburgring 2007 race when they red flagged it and everyone ended up in the fence at turn 1. But at least they got that race started again.
Oh, Christ.
Speaking of started again, Benjamin Dahlia back on the move.
We've got 20 laps left to go in this. So we're all about halfway, about half distance.
Very
this
interested
race.
to see how this undercut attempt plays out for Benjamin Dahlia.
In fact, we're exactly half distance.
Oh.
That is how numbers work. As Luke Rosella, it's hard to tell with this little bit of lag we got tonight. It's hard to tell just how close some of these moments are, but that certainly looked like a close one. And will anyone else dive in? Luke Rosella and Zach Baker.
And Zach Baker. Curt Stenberg once again playing the long game, stays out.
Well, it worked out for him last time.
They certainly did. So they peel off into their respective pit boxes. Not too far away from each other, but certainly far enough away that it won't affect their pit exit. And that is RSM Latino also taking service on the same lap. And Brody Steen as well.
It was a timely reference from me, because Michael Zalari just informing us that Canada race was 10 years ago at the beginning of June.
That's scary that it's that long. Oh, they're very, very close on pit exit.
That is quite close, yeah. So I
Closer
wonder
than they were on the entry.
if Luke Rosella took a bit of extra fuel, maybe.
That's where Benjamin Dahlia is. And I think this is going to be mighty close on the pit exit. Benjamin Dahlia is actually quite a long way back, so that undercut has not worked at all.
He's going to arrive with a lot of pace, but yeah, no, that is actually quite a big gap. That is about, what have we got? It's about 2 seconds he is now behind Zach Baker, so
I wonder if they were kind of pacing him.
very
And,
possibly.
Even though they were close together. Curt Stenberg's in the pits, so he's pulling the trigger.
1 lap later this time
He
around.
won't have that difference in tyre grip that he had in the first race.
Luke Rosella having to immediately keep an eye on his mirrors for Zach Baker, so I wonder if that'll affect his outlap a bit. Maybe he won't be quite as be able to put his head down quite as much as he would have hoped.
Well, he's starting to gap him on this lap, it has to be said, and Deb Nedovich, you can see, also coming in.
Curt Stenberg moving once again, as you can see. Luke Rosella just coming around the last corner now. So up to full speed.
I reckon Curt Stenberg might have this because
it looks better this time around compared to last race.
Actually, I might tell a lie. They're going to go through. I reckon Luke's going to go through. Zach, indeed, is also going to go through. And so too,
Goodness.
Benjamin Dahlia. So wronger words have not been said in a broadcast by me.
Is this Paul Ricard? Because that undercut was very powerful.
Well, he's not going to have the extra tyres that he was hoping he would have. Like in the first race, he had 3-lap younger tyres. This time he's only got 2-lap younger tyres.
He does have a lot more time to make up those positions again, but he's got 3 positions to make up this time rather than just the 1. So he's got to make his way past Benjamin Dahlia and Zach Baker before he can tussle with Luke Rosella for the lead. Lewis Wedding currently in the lead, having not pit yet.
Well, let's give him some airtime.
Yeah.
Here he is.
He's probably going to pit now that I've said that.
Well, yeah, those tyres would be mush right now.
Absolute mush. Nope, he's continuing on.
Elects to stick with mush. Power to him. So behind, he's not that much further ahead from these guys who have made their pit stops.
No, so he possibly hoping for some very fresh tyres at the end of the race. Lewis Wedding. His Lou names are going to be the death of me.
So Lewis Wedding, just looking at the gap, he's probably going to be racing around some Steve Warwick, Cameron Parrott down there. He's got Morrell in 11th place there, so it's not been the strongest run from him, unfortunately.
He's only 2 seconds behind Chris Parrott. Or Cameron Parrott, do apologise. I saw C and I just took a gamble on what the first name was rather than
Could have
looking
been
at...
Craig.
Could have been Chester. Could have been Chagrin.
Yeah, could have been Chaminda.
Oh, like Charmander.
No, Chaminda. It's a Sri Lankan name.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
I thought you were making a joke about a South Australian mental health
No, goodness no.
disability provider.
Anyone who watches cricket will know. This is how I get my subcontinental names.
Chaminda. I remember when you told me Usman Khawaja, and I thought that was his entire surname.
name.
I thought his name was Usman. His name was like Phil Usman Khawaja or something. What an
Usman
incredible name. Usman Khawaja.
Usman Khawaja. And it's funny with a name like that, you'd expect him to be well, he is Pakistani of origin. But you hear him speak, he's like, oh yeah, g'day mate, how you going? My name's Uzi.
My name's Uzi.
Yes, Michael Zalavari has looked up Chaminda Vasa's entire name.
Holy heck. Let me try this. Wana Kula Surya Patabendingi Ushantha Joseph Chaminda Vas.
So he just tended to go with the name Chaminda Vas.
Yeah, fair enough.
As a result of the rest of his name being a little bit difficult to pronounce and too long to put on the Adelaide Oval scoreboard.
Yeah, imagine trying to fit that in the Automobilista, like if he happened to race for Automobilista Supercars Championship.
Remember when I used to race in the AMS Oz days, there was some guy who had some really long name, and the HUD that I was using adjusted the width of it based on the longest name in the server. And it cut off the gaps. And I was so annoyed with this guy. He had one of those like Von Wolfgang bloody stupid names. And it was like, I don't know, 6 syllables or something like that. Lots of letters, and it cut off my gaps.
That must be a frustrating.
And I was very annoyed.
I can imagine. That would be, that's a valid thing to be annoyed about, I would imagine.
Probably not that valid, but anyway.
Curt Stenberg's not overtaking Benjamin Dahlia with ease. He's still a couple of tenths behind him, about half a second. And he's been behind him now for about 4 laps-ish.
Sanath Jayasuriya, who was a fantastic player from Sri Lanka.
Was he? Lewis Redding finally pits.
Finally pits. On your Lewis Redding, he elects to remove mush from his wheels. Well, actually, you don't take the mush off the wheels, you leave them on the wheels. You
take the wheels off.
and have something a little bit less akin to mush. He also saw Scott Morrell in the pits there at the same time. Not sure why.
Both of the Ultimate 9 cars.
Obviously both going for that same strategy.
Very close now. Curt Stenberg behind Benjamin Dahlia, but
He's got to start thinking about a move, because Luke Rosella and Zach Baker are beginning to edge away a little bit, and he doesn't want to leave it too late. I mean, there's still plenty of time left in this race, 13 laps. But one wouldn't want to dilly-dally.
one wouldn't. No, goodness me, no.
That'd be a frightful thing to do.
One wouldn't want to dilly-dally.
Which is, I'm sure, exactly the words to the letter that he is thinking right now.
Yes.
I don't want to dilly-dally.
Don't want to dilly-dally. Heavens to Betsy, I don't want to dilly-dally.
Well, he's certainly not dilly. His body language does not suggest any sort of dilly-dallying.
Well, we can only assume. We can't see his body language.
Well, I mean, the body language of his car.
Oh, very good.
Which is evident by the way that he's driving it. So he's going down the inside here at turn 1. And Benjamin Dahlia doesn't make that too difficult. Does he get it stopped? And does he cut off that switchback move? Gets it all lit up using the throttle magic on the exit there of turn 1. And that is a nice move from Curt Stenberg.
It's very good. So he can set about cutting down that deficit he has to Zach Baker ahead.
Lap time comparison, 106.2 from Luke Rosella, 106.2 from Zach Baker, 106.4 from Curt Stenberg. But keep in mind, he had to pass Benjamin Dahlia on that lap.
Was trapped behind Benjamin Dahlia.
Very much so. But he is no longer trapped. He has sprung forth like a Disney princess.
Absolutely. He's throwing himself like Ursula in The Little Mermaid down the corridor. The gift that Mel will occasionally send me when she says me when I see donuts. And it's just... It's not going to land. For most people, I imagine. Not sure why I brought it up. Curt Stenberg now.
Donuts are a religious food. They're very holy.
Oh. It's a good one. I'll pay that.
Thank you.
Let me see if I can find some more of my classics while we're watching Curt Stenberg slowly edge into this.
Slight dip in the number of concurrent viewers as a result of that joke.
Slight dip. I've been using r/dad jokes quite a lot because I send a dad joke out to my team every morning.
Sorry, just there was a bit of a slide job on from Luke Rosella. we've got time for a replay, don't we?
Yeah, they're not
let's have a
right
look.
on top of each other.
Oops, it helped my replay button work. There we
Got
go.
to really smash that replay button.
Get new keyboard for that one. So out the exit there, all 6s and 7s for Luke Rosella. He's got it back without losing too much time by the looks of it. So on the last lap there, Curt Stenberg down 2/10 of a second on Luke Rosella, 1/10 on Zach Baker. So it's all closing up again. Yes, he's found something.
How do you find Will Smith in the snow?
Go on.
You look for the Fresh Prince.
Goodness sake.
And I got another one for you.
Oh yeah.
Can anyone please tell me what the lowest rank in the army is? 'Cause every time I ask someone, they say it's private.
I'll do for now. Maybe ration them out from this point onwards.
Very good.
Private.
I quite like that Will Smith one. I'm going to use that.
Benjamin Daly is starting to drop away a little bit.
Very
from
much
top
so.
3.
About 3 seconds now, the gap. Oh wait, no, that's to the leader. About 2 seconds now, the gap between himself and Curt Stenberg. I'm so used to the gaps being interval from watching Formula 1 because they very rarely use the to the leader timing.
Yeah, it both have their virtues,
Do
I would say.
they're pretty good with showing the gap to the leader when it's important, like when Max
It's
was
so much better than it used to
chasing
be.
it down. I watched that.
Watch old races or something. Show us the time. Oh, they used to have the ticker down the bottom. You could only see 6 of them at once.
I rewatched that Chain Bear video recently where he went through all the old, like how the graphics have evolved over time. And I look at some of the old races. I'm like, how did you know what was happening? Because you get the time between 4 runners a couple of times a lap or something.
Or go back to the 90s. They didn't even have like how many laps on the screen.
It still
You'd
blows
just be
my mind.
relying on Murray Walker going, if we're not very much mistaken, this is the halfway point in the race. And then he'd be like, well, actually, I am very much mistaken because we haven't actually got to lap 50 or lap 32 because it's a 65 lap race and I was very much mistaken. And you're like, just...
Give me
I
another.
love you, Murray, but you make a lot of mistakes.
It blew
I
my
say that, I do too.
It blew my mind that they had the laps counting down. So it'd be the first lap would be 52/52.
We were so used to it.
But I mean, intuitively, it makes no sense.
It doesn't.
And like, I just don't. It just seemed like an odd decision. Yeah, the answer is good commentary, says Michael Zalavari. I'm not sure that was that. Did we say something about how I can't believe we listened to stuff? How did we find information in the 90s? Who was commentating in the 90s apart from
Murray Walker and Martin Brundle.
Oof.
There was a couple of people before Martin in the 90s. Well, we had James Hunt, and then
He was excellent from what I've heard. He was very savage.
he didn't pull his punches.
It's useful.
Definitely knew well, and it was good because sometimes Murray Walker would sugarcoat things a little bit,
And James would just cut through it.
Murray Walker would be like, this driver says he's not as good with a naturally aspirated engine as the old turbo ones. And then there'd be a pause, and then James Hunt is like, no, all I can say to that is bullshit. So anyway, moving on.
Oh my goodness. So yeah, how did we know things before without on-screen graphics? We had good commentary, says Michael Zalavari. Curt Stenberg catching up to the back of Zach Baker by leaps and bounds. About a tenth of a second now between the two of them.
10th faster on that lap.
Only 7 laps to go. Jesus, that's
a little bit
quick.
difficult to tell exactly what Kurt's pace is relative to everyone because once again he's caught up behind. So once if he manages to dispatch Zach Baker quickly, we'll get a true read on his actual pace here, whether he's got an answer for Luke Rosella. But Luke Rosella has not scurried off into the sunset. This is very much, it could be Luke's race, it could be Kurt's race, it could be Zach's race. And this is one of Zach's strongest rounds that I can remember for some time. So he's doing an absolutely stellar job right now, keeping Curt at bay. But I have a feeling Kurt's going to have a go down into turn 1 here.
Yeah, And it's kind of difficult because if you go for the inside or you defend on the outside, either way you end up disadvantaged at some stage in the next couple of corners. But it looks like Curt thought better of it that time around, tucked in behind, and Zach Baker holds on to that position for at least this sector.
Luke's best friend right now is Zach.
Absolutely.
Zach can do Luke a lot of favours if he manages to keep Curt behind for a little bit longer. Because that will just ease the pressure a little bit. Luke won't have to defend for quite as many laps, potentially. So Zach could do Luke a lot of favours here. But whether or not he does remains to be seen. Just a little bit of a moment for one of them. Can't tell which.
Yeah, it looked like Curt Stenberg just got well and truly out of the slipstream there. Not that he would have been getting much slipstream through those corners, but got well and truly out of the back of Zach Baker for just a few moments. Tucked back up in behind again, so very close as they come onto the start-finish straight, but only 5 laps to run, including this one. That's correct, isn't it? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes. So
Kurt's
he's running out of time
spent
here.
an entire lap pretty much glued to the rear bumper there of Zach Baker and not been able to make that position there. So every lap that happens is very good news for Luke Rosella, who pulled out a little bit on that lap from the 2 in second and third.
1.4 seconds the gap that Kurt's going to have to try to eat up once he gets past Zach Baker, if he gets past Zach Baker.
That gap grew by about 0.3 of a second on the previous lap. So every lap that Curt Stenberg remains behind Zach Baker, he's giving himself more work to do to claw back the lead from Luke Rosella. And the tyre differential is going to become less and less pronounced the longer they go into this race.
Well, and it was only 1 lap this time around to begin with, so it is much less of an advantage from him pitting later than it was in the first race, and it's a much longer time since they pit. So the even that small difference has probably evaporated by now, as Luke Rosella is looking down the barrel of his 2nd win in this championship, which he'll be very happy with, I imagine. And once again, Curt Stenberg just not able to make the move on Zach Baker.
Zach went a little bit deep there at 1, but we often see people doing a late apex through there. I don't think that's what that was, but it's put him under a bit more pressure here from Curt Stenberg, who's going to go and look down the inside at turn 5, but he doesn't get far enough alongside before the corner. And once again, Zach Baker is able to hold him at bay. Curt just cannot get the overlap that he's looking for to try and affect that pass. Once again, the outside, we've seen good traction no matter where you are coming out of that turn 6 hairpin. So Curt Stenberg is getting a lot more frustrated the longer this goes on. 1.6, 1.7, 1.8, roughly the gap. Once again, they are losing time to Luke Rosella the longer this goes on.
Yeah, Zach Baker just seems to be nailing the exit of that last corner every single lap, and it's giving him just enough distance between himself and Curt Stenberg that Curt doesn't have the opportunity to pull out and go for the overtake. As we see Benjamin Dahlia just warming his tyres in the background, he's obviously having a bit of a
low
race.
A late move there from Curt Stenberg, who locks the inside front. He backs it in, manages to get the move done by the looks of it. That took Zach Baker by surprise. I think he had to do something very, very daring, and that's what he did. So he's finally effected the pass. He still has enough time left to catch Luke Rosella in this race, but the gap is 1.8 seconds. They lost through 2/3 of a second on that previous lap. So each lap that kept going on was costing them 2 or 3/10 of a second. Now we're going to get a true read on Curt's real pace and whether or not he can challenge Luke Rosella for the win. The gap 2 seconds now.
Yeah, so 3 laps to go at the end of this one for him to cut that gap down. So it's 2 seconds at the moment. He would need to take out about 7/10 of a second each lap in order to get in order to overtake before the end of the race. And it looks like a pretty tall order, but if anyone can do it, it's the current championship leader, Curt Stenberg, set free from the curse of the number 1, apparently, and is having an excellent showing so far this season. But Luke Rosella having done an excellent job of controlling this race since the pit stops.
There we go. That's the first lap in about 4 laps that Curt Stenberg has set a faster lap time than Luke Rosella. It's basically since he caught up to the back of Zach Baker. So only marginally, because he had to pass Zach Baker on that lap. The difference was about 0.5 of a second in lap time between Luke Rosella and Curt Stenberg.
Zach Baker not falling away completely either. So if Curt makes a little error, Zach could easily get himself back up into second place.
But Luke needs to have a mistake or his tyres fall off the cliff at this point, because the gap is, well, there's only 2 laps left at the end of this race. So
yeah, it's not come down at all.
Kurt's going to need to find some extraordinary time, about a second a lap, to get himself where he needs to be at the end of this race.
And I just don't see it happening unless Luke Rosella has an error. I reckon he has got this one in the bag. I have put the Moz on him. He is coming up to a back marker.
There is pressure. There's always pressure, and a mistake can come by very, very easily. You mentioned the back marker traffic, so he wants to get out the way pretty quickly.
Parrot.
Is that Cameron Parrot?
I believe it is number 9. Yes, Cameron Parrot up ahead of Luke Rosella. But still the gap is 2 seconds. Does not look like changing as Luke Rosella's coming up to the back and gives him a little flash.
Yeah,
looks like
Cameron Parrot
he's a wake up.
He signalled that very early by staying to the left-hand side, so Luke Rosella did not want to lose a 1/10 of a second or even more. Curt Stenberg is driving the wheels off that thing trying to catch you. You saw him coming out of turn 5, I think, turn 7 or 8, lighting the rears up, and he's not making an impression on that gap that Luke Rosella has built. So Luke Rosella is doing a stellar job here. In fact, I think that gap has grown since the end of the previous lap.
Has up to 2.3 seconds now. It was 2 seconds.
So this is the last lap of the race, lap 38 out of 38, and Luke Rosella looking seemingly like he's on his way to... I have to check this. I'm pretty sure it's only his second victory in the Automobilista Supercars Championship. What have you spied, Madbird?
Oh, they just look like a big moment coming out of turn 1 for Curt Stenberg. It hasn't cost him anything.
I think he's eaten up his tyres trying to get... he probably had a massive flat spot in his tyre from when he passed Zach Baker at turn 1.
Yeah, Zach Baker has just sort of hung with him ever since, but not quite within touching distance.
With clear air, Curt Stenberg was 0.2 of a second slower than Luke Rosella on that previous lap.
So Luke has stamped his authority on this race after the pit stops. A very good undercut. Good strategy from Luke Rosella to pit when he did. Must have just nailed that tipping point of when the tyres were starting to go off. And he is coming around the last corner to finish this race and come home for his, we believe, second win as he flashes the lights. Very well done to Luke Rosella.
The young challenger takes victory here in Darwin, and that one on pure pace. The first victory he got at Bathurst was by virtue of a mistake from Curt Stenberg. So Curt has got some competition in this championship. Colin Warwick showing him that he's up for the fight in the bend last round. And this round, Luke Rosella equal to the task. Only missed out on winning that first race by about a 1/10 or 2, and taking victory quite stylishly tonight in the feature race by 3 seconds. Zach Baker, once again, a solid night from him, 2 podium finishes.
Yeah, absolutely. Good result for ZB Racing. Well done, Luke, says Charcoal. Colin Warwick in the chat. Probably wishes it could have been him.
Would have been good to see him in that fight with three of them.
And
but,
especially with Zach Baker and Benjamin Dahlia as well, that would have been absolutely titanic scrap. But best lap as well for Luke Rosella. So he'd be happy with that. And, well, so Benjamin Dahlia did come home in 4th. A little bit lonely in the end. About 7 seconds behind Zach Baker.
Curt Stenberg had the best lap.
Oh, I do apologise. I was just looking at best lap for Luke Rosella, and I assumed that meant best lap overall. RSM Latino in 5th. Brody Steen in 6th. 7th for Lewis Wedding. David Nedich in 8th. Cameron Parrott in 9th. Steve Warwick, father of the absent Colin Warwick, in 10th. Scott Morrell in 11th. And, of course, we had Alex Cattle drop after just 5 laps. Unfortunately. So what a cracking race for Luke Rosella, and a good way to respond after the first race where he lost out on that lead just at the very end, and manages to take a pretty commanding victory in the feature race tonight.
Funny how, like, after 38 laps of racing, we're used to these close finishes that 3 seconds seems like a commanding victory. It's actually quite tight.
It is quite tight. But as you say, compared to a 10th or, pressed into the back of the car ahead of you, 3 seconds is an absolute, Persian Gulf.
A beautifully managed race, though, it has to be said.
Very well done. Sounded a little bit condescending. Didn't mean for it to be. And I think I missed a little bit of shade that Michael Zalavari threw at us, because he was saying, good commentary is how they manage without on-screen graphics, and then he said, well, good thing Automobilista has decent graphics.
I had left that one. Let that go through to the keeper, but he did follow that up by saying, "Great racing, lads, and great call," with an exclamation mark, which is how you know that it's got emphasis.
That's how we know that it's sincere. Thank you very much to Michael Zalavari, the man who never is referred to by just his first name. At least by me.
I mean, I usually refer to most drivers by their full name, so it's a bit of a consistent thing. But it was a good test for the new studio. A couple of little things to iron out, but I'm sure we'll get that all sorted in the next 3 weeks before the next round in Townsville, which is a race that I don't recall you've had.
I don't think I ever have.
Always had something on that night.
It's always fallen on. I think I was in Hong Kong at one stage.
Well, that's not happening this year.
No, definitely not.
In fact, they don't. And then they didn't race there last. No, they did race there last year. I'm trying to remember. Memory is.
I'll look at the track map
there,
and I'll see if I recognise it.
I don't think you were, because there's at least twice Michael's jumped into sub 4U4.
Yeah.
Townsville round.
I reckon it's one of those ones.
We haven't got the. It's been a mammoth effort, stick death, to get the studio up and running for today. So we haven't had the whiteboard up and running. But rest assured,
it is behind us.
The whiteboard will return in the season before the end of the season. Definitely in the Bathurst 1000. We're going to have it for that. But it is my aim to get it up for a couple of rounds before that as well. We'll see how we go. We've got lots of stuff to sort out, but we aim to give you guys the best broadcast we possibly can. And Madbird, we haven't been joined by some of our drivers. I was looking at the wrong chat.
Now we have.
Just starting to filter in now so that we can have a bit of a chat with our podium sitters. Well, actually, we've just got our race winners, the two of them, two tonight. Madbird, do you want to start off proceedings?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe I have got Curt Stenberg, winner of race number 1 and runner-up in race number 2. Very good night of racing tonight, Curt. You just weren't quite able to hunt down Luke Rosella in the second race, but winner in the first race. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I'll be honest, I thought I'd be a bit stronger in this place based on past form, but I loaded up my setup from last year, and obviously the tyre changes over the off-season didn't seem to work quite well, so I've grabbed my setup from the bin, made some changes, and we've sent that, and yeah, we had good one-lap speed, and we had good pace in the early couple of laps of the stint, but I always knew the last few laps we were going to struggle, and I mean, that's sort of where it was decided.
Yeah, absolutely. It seemed to struggle in the second race to get past Zach Baker. Managed to hold you up just those few laps, and that seemed to make the difference. You just didn't have the tyres to take the fight to Luke after you managed to get past him. Does it make a big difference that you built this track? I would have thought that you'd be unstoppable around here with the amount of experience you've got.
Yeah, well, I've done a number of races here, and I mean, it's been a good venue for me in the past in this series. I've had a number. I think I've may have only had one race win here, but it's been a strong track. I've been in podiums nearly every year. So, I mean, I've done countless laps, but every year you get a new challenge thrown up at you by the strategy or whatever, and tonight, yeah, Luke was a faster driver in race trim, and I mean, that's why in race 1 I just deliberately went longer, because I thought if I pit the next lap and he undercuts me, I'm not going to be able to fight him. So, hence what I tried to do in the second race, but I knew I was going to get passed by the other two, but I didn't think it would be that hard to get back past them, but underestimated it, and P2 is what we got.
You still can't be too disappointed with that, and you didn't have your co-admin Colin there to do some side-by-side action, but you did have Luke to. It seemed like one of you was side-by-side going through the first sector for about 6 or 7 laps in a row there during the second race, so still some excellent racing from you guys.
Yeah, exactly right, mate. I've got to give it to Luke. Awesome driving to not have any real contact. We had a couple of tiny little things, and I also got to give credit to Benjamin and Zach. They really stepped it up this round, and they weren't far away. They were waiting to pick up the pieces in race 2.
Where they just, well, congratulations again, Curt, and continuing your lead of the championship.
All right, thanks, guys. See you at the next one.
And Stairs, I believe you might have race 2 number winner. Whoa, what a sentence.
Race number 2 winner.
That one.
And only missing out on victory in the first race by a tenth, 2 tenths. Very, very close race in race 1. Luke Rosella, you must be pleased with the way tonight panned out.
Certainly, thanks, Staz. Yeah, it was unbelievable. I mean, coming out of practice and into qualifying for race 1, I thought we were going to be a bit behind Curt, but apparently everyone was just doing quali runs at practice. But nah, I'm really, really happy with how tonight went. Me and Curt had some fantastic battles. Majority of it was clean. We had, like you said, we had a couple of niggles, but really, really happy with both second place and the race win for race 2.
Yeah, absolutely, and both times pitting before Curt, so the strategy that worked, well, that got you in front for race 1, got you in front in race 2, and so if it ain't broke, don't fix it, I suppose.
Yeah, kind of. I pitted, as you said, pretty early in race 1, but I didn't expect Curt to sort of extend for that long, so I knew I was going to have a bit of a gap when he came out for his pit stop, but he had a lot more fresher tyres, and I always thought that he was going to on my bumper for a few laps to go, and then in race 2, really using the same sort of strategy. He didn't extend. I thought he was going to extend again, but he pitted the lap after me, and I was just trying to push at the same time, but also save the tyres in that sort of first phase and the second stint to have something to fight with, in the latter parts of that race, because I knew Curt was going to fight through the field and get pretty close to me, but it certainly worked, and his tyres sort of went off towards the end, and he got the win. I was very happy.
Yeah, you see, once Curt got past Zach Baker for second at the end of that race, you were still managing to pip him by a tenth or so towards the back end, so you must have done a good job in keeping those tyres healthy.
Yeah, it's a pretty difficult thing to do, especially with this tyre. It's got a few quirks to it that makes it pretty difficult to sort of conserve them, but as well it has a lot of drop off as well. So as well as difficult to conserve, it also promotes some good racing as we've seen this season. But it's a shame I've missed a few rounds, because I'd certainly be up there with the championship contention. But as I said, absolutely stoked with race win in second place tonight. It's brilliant.
Absolutely. Congratulations, Luke. Congratulations, Curt. Congratulations to the both of you. First and second apiece. And we didn't get joined by Zach Baker, but congratulations to him on 2 third places. He was very much in the fight as well. So, Madbird, that's the Darwin Triple Crown for us. June 22. We've got 3 weeks until the next round, which is the Townsville race on July the 13th. So, looking forward to that one. Very, very different racetrack, as we were talking about. One that you've yet to actually commentate on, but a street circuit, so this is going to change things from what we've seen tonight.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very different beast is a street circuit. Day before my mum's birthday. Have to give her a shout out if I remember. But a very fantastic night of racing here at Darwin.
Whoops.
Oh,
some issues
there is our calendar.
There is our calendar. Just to remind you of the dates. So yes, day before your mum's birthday, you say?
Yeah, July 14th is Lynn Harrison's birthday. So very excited.
Shout out to mother, Lynn.
Shout out to Mum.
Lovely woman.
Isn't she just?
And you can see there.
Begged you to move in with her instead of myself and my lovely partner. But other than that,
I begged you to look at mine first. And then we've got after that the rescheduled Winton Super Sprint coming in at the beginning of August. So a busy month is August. 2 rounds there with Sydney, the night round at Sydney toward the end of August, leading into the Perth round in September, and then the Enduro at Bathurst. The 1,000, the full distance 1,000, still to confirm the actual time of that beginning, but that will be the weekend of October 23 and 24. And then we've got Auckland and Gold Coast to round us out for the end of this championship. So that was the 5th round. We're not halfway through this championship yet.
Now, when you said earlier in the broadcast that Winton's been pushed back to August, I was thinking, oh, that's ages away. But really, we're nearly at the end of June.
Month and a half.
Which is terrifying.
Not even that.
Because, my goodness, this year has just disappeared. And
it's been a lot faster than last year, that's
hasn't
for
it
sure,
just?
in the way that it's felt.
But yeah, we've got some excellent races coming up. I'm very keen to commentate on Townsville since, as was said, I believe that will be my popping my Townsville cherry in terms of commentating. So very much look forward to that. And of course, Bathurst later in the year is always an oh my goodness.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Is always an event, and an event I very much look forward to. So cracking racing tonight. Cracking racing this season so far, actually, and hopefully it will continue.
Seems to be hotting up. We will see you then. Bye for now.
See you later.